What's up, everybody? Alex from Unwritten Fishing. There it is, Paul. I love the hey-o.
You ended it early.
Well, because on my end, as everybody knows, or they don't know, I'm back in Cali, which means we're back to the Motel 6 Chronicles. And only thing I could hear on my end was the opening over and over, just fucking stuck in a loop. Before we even get started, Motel 6, I'd love a sponsorship so I can stay in your shitty hotels while I make this, but you really need to step up your internet and also your cleanup of needles.
I wish you would please fix our intro so that it shows the whole logo and everything instead of that. I mean, it looks like you made it in a Motel 6.
I basically did. But if you guys don't know, I'm Alex with Swamp At Fishing. He is the Jabber Hammer, Paul Roberts, and we are the Bass and Brews Fishing Podcast, your weekly distraction from quality podcasts.
And speaking of quality podcasts, the guest today has exactly that.
He really does. Before we get to our guest, real quick, I've got two minor announcements. One, if you guys haven't seen it, and I'm going to post it on TikTok here soon, but Paul has been doing these reaction videos, right? So go find him on social media, send him a link to your YouTube video, and Paul will crank out a reaction video that is both funny as hell, but also a little roasty. So make sure you do that. And you can hit him up. It's Paul Heels on all platforms, including OnlyFans. So second announcement is you guys have probably heard when you, if you guys are listening to this in audio version, we've been utilizing that Anchor feature where you guys, the listeners, can send in voice messages. So if you want to be featured, definitely log onto there. I'll put a link on the Bass and Brews Instagram site. But go in there. Listen, it's no holds barred. So we had Hooks at Hoodlum member Cody Lockwood Fishing just scrutinize the shit out of us over some Jugs and Bugs podcast. So make sure you go do that. Paul, you got any announcements real quick before we get into our amazing guest?
No, we got to maximize our time because somebody, probably the shortest person in Oakland, a.k.a. Alex, didn't bring his charger. So we need to get going.
We'll be all right, folks. All right, so
I'll be all right.
We've got Nick from Cast and Crank on, an amazing podcast. If you guys haven't listened to it, I'm sure you have. They're huge. But let's drop them in right away before I start full fanboying out. Nick, buddy.
What's up, guys?
What's up, dude?
This is so weird not having to fucking host it.
We kind of talked about it, right? Like yeah. You gotta be weird on the other end of the, you don't have to host. Now you're the star.
Like yesterday. So this is the first week I haven't put a podcast out in, I'm going to say 2 years. You're going to have
slacking, bro. Slacking. Listen, you heard Bass and Brews was coming around. You said, listen, I'm going to close it up.
I did. I'm like, you know what? I have a shitload of podcasts to do. I'm going to interview at Bass and Brews. I'll let them take over the fucking week.
That's it. We got the crown now, folks. We got the crown for a week.
So Zoom, dude. I don't do any Zoom, really.
I know. Yeah.
And for some reason, never before, I had Josh from Pig Patrol on yesterday, and we were talking, and the Zoom started cutting out. Said, you got 10 minutes. You got 5. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? And you have to pay for a membership. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, hey, we're going to have to redo this. And I was going to release it today. But I'm like, you know what? I'll just do it next week. I'm fucking done. I got bad anxiety, and I had a bad fucking run of it again. I went on a pretty hard binger the last 2 weeks ago, and I'm barely recovering. So I mean,
all right.
I
don't know if this is the right show if you were on a binger trying to recover.
No, I'm gonna be back on it next week. So
all right, good.
I'm gonna take a break, but it's I had 3 boys, and I had one graduate high school. I had the one in the 6th. Man. Yeah. Oh, thank God that fucking guy is killing me. I mean, everyone knows him. Like everyone will come over and stay here or something, and he's I call him Herpangina. So if you guys haven't listened to the podcast, we had 2 guys on. His name was Cameron McLeod. He was a commercial fisherman out of California, and Jay Chris, R.I.P. He just passed away a couple months ago. they were both on, and Jay came up with a name, Herpangina, calling him that because right when COVID started, my son went down the street to mess around with the girl. Right when it started, busted my room, like when it started getting deep, and goes, "Dad, I got a fever." I go, "Get the fuck out of my room. I'm gonna fucking die," you know? So I heard
that.
So I put the mask on. I fucking, put up all, I'm like, "Hey, get away from me," And it took back then the test took forever. So it took like 4 weeks to get the test back. Before we got the test back, he goes, "Dad, I want to tell you, I kissed this girl down the street. She got this thing called herpangina. It's like hand, foot, mouth for adults." I'm like, "You fucking idiot."
Which A kid is it? Because from my understanding, all your kids are named with the letter A, right?
Yeah. So Andrew, the oldest. So it goes Andrew, then it goes Adam, and then I let them pick the name for the last one, which isn't regular. It's a video game. I don't know the video game. Axton.
Axton, I love it, dude.
So it's a video game, and I'm gonna say he's the worst of all the boys. He's like the worst combination. He's a pistol. He's wild, but the middle one's the one that likes fishing the most, and then the other two, everyone plays music, so they all play drums and guitar.
Damn, you guys got a Partridge family right there.
Pretty much of a hardcore and punk rock, but not.
Oh, that's so better. That's better.
We don't. We listen to music that people do not like. But you got dudes back your way. My buddy Adam Reiser, you know who that is?
I know Adam. Yeah, I was texting with him after this weekend.
So tell him, if you talk to him, tell him we had Nick on it. I played in bands with him 20 years ago. So Adam and me were boys. Like before he left back east, we tried to fish because I just got into fishing probably about 12 years ago, about 14 years ago, and he moved. And we tried to keep hooking up to fish some local lakes, but just couldn't,
What is it with kayak anglers being in bands?
I don't know, but
or just anglers in general.
No, it's kayak because
it's kayak.
Adam Reiser, stick, great tournament fisherman. Yeah. Brian Lipke, you know who that is? Mm-hmm. He was in a band called Bleeding Through. He's another kayak stick down here in California. Then Mark from Bass Brains, he's another boy of mine. He owns a swim bait company out that way. Another great kayak fisherman. But I was in bands with all these guys, so it's crazy to reconnect, and then see what they're doing, and everyone's kind of doing their own thing, taking off.
That's awesome.
Because Bass Brains, I think is he in Jersey or somewhere, Massachusetts? Didn't Bobby roast beef buy some? I thought
Bass Brains, I think, is northeast. They're northeast New England. They're not Jersey. There's only like 5 fishermen in all of New Jersey that fish freshwater. I'm 100% sure that there's 5 of them. And my last fishing trip, like an idiot, I went on Memorial Day weekend. They were all fucking there. So,
well, Alex does fish in the back of somebody's house pond. So when he says there's 5 anglers on the water, he's fishing in 2 acres of water.
Listen,
and so,
I've had some interactions back there, right? And so if people don't know, Paul put out a video where my first video back east when I was back home, Paul did a reaction video and he fucking roasted me. It was great. It was great that he used all the technology that I've hooked him up with to fucking roast me. But I'm going to tell you what, and I haven't decided whether I'm going to put it out or not. Maybe we'll let listeners find me on Instagram. I'm trying to do this saltwater thing, right? Saltwater is not normally my thing, but I was able to get a travel rod. It's like a medium heavy bait caster rod, right? 7'2", but it breaks down to 21 inches from 6 Cents Fishing. Amazing thing, right? I was able to get on the plane, all of that. And I'm fishing in Oakland and Alameda, California for stripers, because I guess they got stripers.
Yeah, they got some big ones.
Yeah, so I'm out there and I'm minding my own fucking business. And I hook into a bat ray who proceeds to fucking spool me out instantly because I was only like half spooled. And like the whole setup I brought, like the reel, it's a saltwater and a freshwater reel from 13 Fishing, but I've only really fished like tog, triggerfish, and striper with it.
Okay.
Nothing like huge, right? This bat ray literally took me all the way over. I'm literally holding the rod and I can just see my connection knot start to uncoil. And he takes the whole fucking thing. So I'm like, well, that fucking sucks. And I'm sitting there and then this fucking lady comes up And she goes, just so you know, fishermen kill fish. And I was like, all right, lady. I mean, I wasn't, but yeah, I guess they do sometimes. That's how you get fish. And she was like, well,
Yeah.
how do you like being a murderer? I was like, come on, can you just leave me alone?
Welcome to
She goes,
California.
no shit. No shit. Listen, I've been yelled at for fishing in somebody's backyard, as Paul will say. I've been sprayed at by a hose. At no point in time was it because of fishing. Leave it to California where they're like, giant body of water. How dare you fish that?
They get mad. Like we went up north. I did the live episodes up at Caesars at Toxic Baits. So I got an Airbnb and I went with my buddy John from Stay Bent and my buddy Jonathan. So my buddy Jonathan doesn't drink, he smokes. So I'm like, all right, you're the designated the whole weekend. So we got fucked up over at I did and my buddy John and at Bethel Island. There's like a bar there. I forgot what it's called, Rusty Porthole. So we come back and I go.
Listen, as a sailor myself, I love a rusty porthole.
So we go there. I go back to the room, the Airbnb, and there's a dock up top. So I'm like, all right, let's go fish. It was me and two other guys. I'm flipping, and Danny Delamater from Blinked, Delta dude. He was there too. So, we're flipping on the docks. I hit one, miss it. So I keep walking on this dock and the fucking motherfuckers rotted out and I break and my whole leg goes through the dock and I'm trash. So my buddies are thinking, oh, fuck, Nick's going to die, and I'm laughing because I'm drunk and I don't give a shit, but the ladies flipped out. The people flipped out on the docks up there. And I'm like, well, we got the Airbnb. And they're like, we don't care. Get out of here. And I'm like, oh, fuck, whatever. But I think that's just, down here, I fish a lot of spotted bay bass and calicos. So we'll fish harbors. And in Newport Beach, California, there'll be docks. And these people think they own the docks. I'm like, you don't fucking own the docks, So I'll be flipping docks just like you would for largemouth, but for fishing spotted bay bass. Yeah. They'll yell at you the same. And they're all rich, entitled people. So they don't give a shit. I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to keep flipping,
Exactly. The place where I fish, those homeowners, when I initially started back there, and I started back there in like a little 10-foot, like actual paddle, like a thing from Bass Pro, right? But I would be out there fishing and they'd be like, yo, this is private property. I'm like, you're absolutely right. Your property, but not the water.
The water's not your property.
Well, no. And I don't know if you know this, Nick, or not, but so I'm in the U.S. Coast Guard. So
no way.
So I'm actually about ready to retire. I've been in 19 years. What am I at now? 8 months. I got 4 months till retirement.
Congrats.
Thank you. But they would start to spit out this like bullshit code that they read online. And I was like, well, listen, so that's all bullshit. You don't know what you're talking about. And I tell them like, hey, I'm in the U.S. Coast Guard. And they're like, well, are you going to ticket yourself? No, because I fucking haven't done anything wrong. And that's when, if people don't know, this might not be the best thing. Thank God nobody listens to our podcast. But so jig damage to a boat is not a real thing, meaning if you swing your jig into a boat, unless it goes through, if you ding somebody's paint, it's most states, and it's not a federal thing, but most states will see that as just general wear and tear of living on the water. So my favorite thing would be to swing a fat jig into their fucking boat and be like, well, call the cops. Well, call the cops.
Here's the thing. Man. Here's the thing. They targeted Alex because he's like 4'3", and they thought he was an 8-year-old, and they could bully him. So
I really need to know how tall he is.
How tall are you?
How tall are you, Nick?
I'm not going to say he's first.
Well,
I'm not tall at all. I'm short.
However tall you are, you're probably 2 Alexes.
What are you?
5'7".
I'm 5'9", so I'm glad I'm taller than someone.
Yeah. Listen, I'm a short guy. It's okay. It's okay, Paul. You got a dumb hat on, Paul. What are you talking about?
Look, I got my Wild Bill glasses on today. They ain't got no lenses in them.
You look like Lockwood Fishing, but clean.
Nick, tell us about yourself, man. Tell us what brought you here to where we are right now.
So I'm going to say it's been August 20 something, 4 years of podcasting. Wow. So I think when I first started, I've done construction my whole life. So I would listen to comedy podcasts all day long, Joe Rogan when it first started, Bill Burr, all the ones everyone listens to. I've listened my whole life because I was listening for something like I was tired of music. So I was always listening to podcasts. So I started looking for fishing podcasts. So I listened to like I tried like the Ike and Ellie's and the Bass Talk Lives and you know,
not Bass Talk Live. Boo on Ike and Ellie. He is for Bass and Brews, he's our mortal enemy.
No, he's Alex's. I love Ike. Shut up, let the man talk, Alex. Damn, quit interrupting him. This ain't Paddler's Playbook. You ain't.
No, I like it. I like this insider information. No, I had actually I reached out to Ike and Ellie once and he never got back. He kind of said something, never got back to me, and I'm kind of like, I get he's busy. But I mean, these guys are busy. I've never talked to. I think Matt. I tagged him in something to give him kudos, and he saw it. And I call it what I call it when you see something and you don't respond.
Yeah.
My term is big dicking. So I got big dick by a couple of those guys, and that's fine.
Hold on. Wait, you haven't had Matt on your show?
No.
Mm-mm. Hey, guess who's had Matt on their show?
You guys.
Well.
Did you get him to cuss?
Who had Matt on their show?
Well, I was actually underway.
Alex, who?
Fuck Paul. I told Paul that I wanted Matt. I think he's a cool fucking dude. I told him it was like one of my like dream guests. Fucking Paul books him when I'm fucking underway in the South Pacific and can't fucking be there.
Hey man, yeah. Nick, you know how it is. You got to get people on when they can come on. But
I blew some big ones. I have blew some really big when I first started. So it was August in it was November because it was Thanksgiving. I had Tito Ortiz go, I'm down. I can come today on Thanksgiving. I'm like, if I have you come on, my wife will fucking kill me. I can't. And then I never got him again and was like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I've had,
well,
I mean,
no, go ahead, Nick. No, go ahead.
But I mean, it's you know, like I said, those podcasts, I respect them. They do their own thing. I feel like I'm not a tournament angler. I don't fish the drop shot all the time. I don't fish swim bait all the time. I don't fish all this. I want to hear like something funny or funny stories or the person. So I always think I wanted to hear about the person. And I mean, there were some podcasts that did it up north after me a little bit, and I like them. You guys do something like that where it's more fucking around and not serious, because I feel like I'm not going to speak out of turn like where I don't know what I'm talking about. No. So, and I don't want to talk about the same thing over and over, how to drop shot a fucking fish or throw crankbait or fucking whatever it might be. Now, there's stuff that I do put on a lot because I'm friends with them. I don't throw a lot of swim baits, but I have a lot of swim bait guys on because I'm friends with a lot of these guys. And I become friends with them. No, it's hard as shit catching swim bait fish down here. If you don't put the time in, like these guys put the time in. So
I don't know, man. Mike Long showed that it's pretty easy.
If you snag. I've been pretty close to. I've tried a couple times to get Mike on. I would give him a fair shake, dude. Like, because
dude, that would be like I mean, that's up there at the pinnacle, right? With all the controversy involved.
Well, you got to remember this. This is the thing. When someone talks shit, there's two sides to the story.
Mm-hmm.
So to have a guy write a whole fucking article about a guy he does not like doesn't give him a fair shake. Just like if someone talks shit about someone on here, I'm probably not going to put it out because the other guy can't talk back. So to me, I wouldn't mind hearing Mike Long's side of the story because everyone fucks up. I fucked up. Everyone we're talking about, they fuck up. So for you to give someone a completely, you know, this stance of like, fuck him, he's a snagger. Guys that came on and said, hey man, he catches big fish. I've seen him with my eyes. You know, Regos and Don Osborne and Mike Gilbert even said, I've seen him. Oliver Nye, they've all seen him catch it. So it's hard for me to go, okay, why did you do that? Was it money because your family needed it? Was it, you know, I could see some of this stuff happening. It's not right. It's horrible, but there's two sides of the story.
Dude, that would make a great, that would make a great story because he is super polarizing. And I don't know if you've read the book Sow Belly.
I have.
They mention him in Sow Belly, right? And they're not mentioning the controversy because Sow Belly was, I think that was like 10 years ago the book came out, right? It's an older book, but they talk about how intense and how into just like bass beat, like the dude was intense about bass behavior and trying to figure out how to get the biggest possible, which is kind of what I think a lot of swim baiters are, right? They're trying to leverage whatever they can to get the biggest bass possible. And they talk about them in that. And I didn't get into that book until after the controversy. And then when I read the book, I'm kind of like, God, like that. The dude definitely probably did catch a lot of big fish, but something maybe happened. Like maybe the skills diminished, whatever, but he's definitely got a story to tell.
Yeah, I feel like if someone's going to run their mouth, there's got to be two sides. So I've always been kind of like, I believe it because we saw it. There's video proof of it. I get it. We saw it happen. No problem. You got caught. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's two sides. And that book's great. I love it. I mean, I've had Butch on multiple times. Yeah. I'm going to have Danny Cadota on with him. He was in the book, I think, as well, throwing the crawdads for the bass. Yeah. Simmenthal's been on.
It's one of those fishing books. There's not a lot of good ones, right? I highly recommend that one. And then if you're in the Northeast, there's a guy called John Skinner. And this guy chases big Northeast striper.
Really?
Yeah, and he's got a bunch of book series, right? But he's got some. He chases big fluke. That's what we call flounder.
Yeah,
on the East Coast, right? So he chases those, and he's got a bunch of instructional ones. But his very first one, I think it was called The Pursuit. God, I can't remember what it was. The Pursuit of something, right? But the dude broke it down very much like Sal Belly. Like he talks about how he's obsessed his life. And you guys should follow him on YouTube because so my kid had a real bad, what did she have? It was pneumonia, and it was for a long time. And the only way to get her to sleep is somebody would have to sit in her room, right? And I can't just sit there and listen to lullabies. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So I put on John Skinner. This guy's like the Bob Ross of fishing in that his voice would calm her down and stop her coughing out of nowhere. And the whole time I'm like, I'm a shitty surf caster. By that, I mean, I've only done it like 3 times, but I'd watch his videos because it put her down. I'm watching fishing, but it's another guy who's like super obsessed with getting big, fat cow striper. And it's the way he broke it down was very much like Sal Belly. That book, Sal Belly, is probably one of the best fishing books ever put out.
I also liked Ike Nelly's book. I did. I'm gonna be truthful with you. I read it. I did like it. What is why don't you care for him?
Because because Alex can't fish and he lives in Jersey.
All right, listen.
He's just mad. He's just
this
mad.
Has been going on.
Look, there's 85 episodes. Look, go ahead.
No, I've never explained
it. This is one thing I'm going to bring up to you guys. You got everyone that listens to the podcast, okay? And this is for everyone. You're going to hear the same fucking story out of the host's mouth multiple times because we're talking to the same fucking people all the time, not different people. So for me to go like, hey, I'm talking to a new dude. I'm going, oh, well, this one time, I caught this fish this big. Well, guess what? They don't fucking know me. That's why I'm going to say it again.
That's why I ended it. Yeah, that's why I ended. Let him explain why he don't like. Ike's my favorite.
I don't think I've ever fully explained on a Bass and Brews podcast. I actually don't have any beef with him. Here's the thing: he lives about 30 minutes from me in New Jersey. And when I first got into kayak fishing, I was like, "Yo, I found out where Mike lives. I'm gonna fish his lake." And I try to fish the lake that he's on, and it's fucking private. And I got kicked off within 10 minutes. So instantly, I've now turned that into the feud of the century. That's the only reason.
Because you got kicked off the lake.
Because I got kicked, and it wasn't even by him. It was by dude. They rolled up with like a security guard. Like, I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" He came up, they kicked me off. It has nothing to do with him. Is he my favorite angler? No, I think he has a purpose. And he does. I think he
carved his own way. Like I get. He kind of made the loudmouth thing kind of like he did his own thing. More kudos to him. It's just not I think that's a different type of personality, I guess. I guess it's hard because how many podcasts do what we do? Not many. Because guess what? You can't get sponsors, bro. Have you tried? It is fucking hard. I'm lucky that I have 2 amazing sponsors, Phoenix Rods and Electric Fishing, and they let me do whatever I want. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I've been doing this for a long time and have been turned down by every company you could think of. So the problem is if I stop doing 2 things, drinking and cussing, I'm not going to enjoy this as much.
Hey,
Listen,
dude, this is how it goes. I would do this podcast if one person listened to it. If no people ever listened to this, I would still do this podcast every week with the occasional live stream out of the blue because of this right here, sitting in front of somebody. When I started downloading fishing podcasts, yours was one of the ones that came up, and that's, you're talking about this too. You're talking about podcasts with techniques and lures and all this and that. There's a ton of those in the kayak world. There's a ton of podcasts that center around the tournament side of it.
Yeah,
they all have a place. I'll listen to all of them because I drive a lot and I enjoy them. But Alex started this one with the intent on content creation within fishing, and
it's great. I love it.
And we've got that. I'm sitting in front of somebody that I was listening to a podcast a year and a half ago now. I never thought I'd be sitting here talking to you. And with a bunch of our guests, it's been that way. I mean, this is the thing is it's helped me connect. And I'm a habitual networker and connector. I love talking to folks.
He's a schmoozer. We don't call him the jabber hammer. We don't call him the jabber hammer for no reason.
It's put us in front of talking to a lot of people that we admire and that we've listened to, and it's helped with our fishing. And it's just great like that. And that leads me into this question for you: is talk about how you started your podcast. Because one thing folks say about starting a podcast, and right now we're in the golden age of everybody starting a fishing podcast, but they don't last. They get a few episodes in, they quit because they don't get the viewers or they don't have time, whatever it is. You've been consistent as hell with yours.
Until he found out about Bass and Brews, then he quit.
Yeah,
I
quit. I probably almost quit. I'm going to say 5 times. Like, seriously, say like this, I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I was in bands before, and I was in pretty big hardcore bands where I went on tour and stuff. And when my son was born, so he's 18, going to be 18 now, I quit doing the band. I didn't quit. So I still had a couple bands where I did one with Adam Reiser. That was a Lone Wolf we did together. And then actually Mark was in that, as from Bass Brand as well. So I quit playing the bands after a couple years after he was born. I stopped playing drums, everything. And then I got into fishing when he was 5 or 6. And I feel like it's like a band. You keep reaching I feel like I keep reaching a pinnacle where I'll go, okay, I'll hit 50 episodes and it's cool. You get so many listens. Then you I want to hit this many listens. Okay. And then my goal next was 20,000 a month. Oh, hit that. 40. Okay. Hit that, and just, I guess you keep looking for that number, and it's fun. And I like doing it. And it does get, you get fucking pissed. I've had guests on that I don't agree with or care for, but it's a great talk. It's a great interview. I change my mind sometimes about certain guests. I have dudes I don't talk to anymore that, like we're falling out. And I've had them on, and it's like, but I've met a lot of great, like, amazing friends. Like, and the big thing with me is I hate doing Zoom, so I'll travel. So like I'm going to Yuma in 3 weeks. I'm going to Yuma. I set up 6 episodes. I got an Airbnb, and I'm going to run these guys in and out like a train,
Yeah. I think if you guys don't follow him, so what makes Paul got to fanboy a little bit. Let me fanboy just a second, Paul. So I listen to your podcast, and I don't swim bait fish, right? And I listen when you still have a lot of swim baiters on, right? But I have noticed, especially when I came back from deployment, you've diversified a lot, which is excellent. But I listen, and I don't even swim bait, right? But exactly what you said, you're getting stories out of guys. It's wonderful. Mm-hmm. And when I listened to how you do it, you were cursing. There's definitely some episodes where people got way too fucked up. And you were doing it live, right? So wait, hold on. Let me rewind back. So you were cursing and getting fucked up. And I was like, listen, I can definitely make a podcast. If this guy is so successful, I can do this too. And I know you had like a different niche, right? Because you do like swim baits, the calico stuff like that, right? But I was like, I can do that. I think we have something, especially when I brought Paul on board. But then you bring something even more extra, which is you don't do a lot of. Obviously, me and Paul, due to distance, have to do it this way, right? What sets your podcast apart, which is fucking phenomenal. It's very Joe Rogan-ish, right? Like you are sitting with the person, which adds a whole nother element, right? It's a lot easier to get a real story out of somebody when you see them face to face, right? It's a lot easier to spin corporate bullshit when you're just over a Zoom call or a StreamYard or whatever. StreamYard, make sure you use them. We're not sponsored. We're not sponsored. I take that fucking back. But no, you know what I mean? It's a lot. I mean, we will be sponsored if you'd like that.
Right.
But no, it's a lot easier. And I can see where I've listened to your episodes where you definitely hit like a clear spot on where like this dude is being 100% real. And it's because you're sitting in front of them. There's no way around it. You know what I mean?
I think what I'd like a lot too is to play devil's advocate with people. I love arguing. Yeah. I love fucking arguing. Like I do. So I love getting into like conversations with some of these dudes where I know they're going to argue. Like Mike Gilbert, for instance, working class zero, huge. He likes to debate. So I love getting him on questions where I go, well, what about this? Well, what do you think about this? Well, have you thought about, like I love doing that kind of conversation, but at the same time, I'll go on a tangent about music for an hour, you know?
I will say, okay, so you said you like to go into argument, right? So I've been gone for a while, and I knew we were going to have you on the show. So literally this last week or 5 days or so, I've been cramming in Cast and Crank. I'm going to call you out here for a minute, Nick.
Uh-oh.
You had, what was his name? Josh? Is it Josh? The guy from Sixth Sense?
Josh Jones.
Uh-huh. I feel like you went kid gloves there. I feel like you went. There was a lot to get into that one.
So
you went a little kid's gloves on that.
So this is the thing: is I don't know anything about him. All I did was remember, like most of these guys, unless it's like I knew who Ben Milliken was, so I asked him, "Hey, what did you do to fucking piss everyone off?" I saw that. And I don't fuck with
to
like
get Josh involved is what pissed everybody.
So and I'm like, what did you do? So
yeah,
Josh, I didn't know what he was doing. Okay. I didn't know how he was going about everything. Now that I've done, he's a great dude. I just didn't know any of the backstory of any of that. So usually I don't do much research on people. Okay. So I don't like when I have a guest on, like whoever. Like Swim Bait Reviews was a guy. He was from, and it was great when these guys travel. I go, hey, where are you staying? We're staying in Orange County. We'll come on by. We'll do it. I got this dude, the homeless fisherman, coming on, Marshall.
Oh, and he's solid. He's a good dude.
So we were gonna go fish, but he's going with the lateral guy. So we're all gonna kind of go out there and meet up with him tomorrow night. But he's down. I'm like, well, fuck, let's go fish or do a podcast, Jared. So I don't see. The thing is I don't know much about the tournament angling. I don't know much about other states because I don't do a lot of research. I'm barely getting more into the Bassmaster type stuff. And elites and stuff and MLF because I'm following some of the guys I had on, like Phil Dutra, Andrew Loberg, Matty Wong. These guys, I have a little bit of a relationship with them. Right. So I don't know much about, Josh, our Sixth Sense.
Dude, I was so waiting for you to, because he is very controversial, right? He's got the bags that he put in the last 2 years, specifically during the spawn, right? And you guys kind of mentioned on it, right? But I was like,
was it the live scope thing, or was it the what's the controversy? I don't even know. See, still.
So one is live scope. So I think he talked about it a lot. So I think a lot of dudes are just straight up upset with him because he got some information from Ben, right, last year about
he kind of talked about that, right?
Okay. Right. And but he did talk about how like he hasn't put in the work. He's only really been truly bass fishing for a couple years, and this dude comes out and he's got live scope or active target, whatever the fuck you call it, right? He's got that loaded up, and the dude threw a Alabama rig. I know he switched to the swim jig, but he threw that Alabama rig, and he was putting in monster fucking bags, giant fish. He talked about it on your show. Everybody
dropping the Alabama rig on their heads, pulling it right
on
up.
Their heads which a lot of old heads saw as unsportsmanlike because you can see it, you're going to drop it. And I think it's really funny you mentioned it in your podcast. Again, everybody go listen to that one. But you mentioned saltwater guys have been doing this forever.
I do it all the time. I don't have live scope. We go on rocks. We go on reefs.
Yeah.
I got big, heavy fucking A-rigs. Drop them down, pull up sand bass.
But the rules are different, right? Between salt and fresh. Somehow in the rules.
Well, how do you know when you catch a fish? Okay, for instance, you see the Zaldane video?
I have not yet. You talking about the one
Bass
that you guys
Nation
one?
That just happened. This just happened.
Okay,
he's fishing. He sets a hook on a fish, live scope. It comes up. It's belly hooked on a swim bait. You don't know. Like, you don't know. Like, so that's the hard part is you don't know. Like, it could have swiped at it. It could have done whatever. So my argument to him, I don't really hate on him for that. And I knew that he did that because I do it in the salt. I don't feel like you're snagging. I feel like the live scope's a totally different thing. Like, I mean, like you said, old school heads. Butch comes in here. He goes, I don't want to do it that way because I've been doing it my way and I don't want to change it up.
Right.
Cool.
But I also think the live scope is definitely one. Maybe we'll move back to that. I think Paul's got an opinion on that one. But how the rules are different between salt and fresh, I think is interesting, right? Because you do a lot of saltwater. You talk about that a lot on your show, right?
A lot of calico, yeah.
Totally different mindset, though, when it comes to the rules, right? And live bait, right? Who fishes live bait for large?
Well, we do SBS. It's all lure, no live bait. So everything's you could come, you guys could come, and you'd be used to it quick because we're throwing A-rigs, crank baits, jerk baits, swim baits.
When I went to
everything,
when I went to the tackle store earlier this week, and I said, "Yo, I want to catch striper," right? And the guy's like, "I got you. Let me get you this rig, this and that, and then you go get bait." I was like, "Nah, I don't want to do it on live bait. Like, I want to do it in the Northeast. It's kind of the same too. It's very split, right?"
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, "You're never going to catch a striper on a lure." I was like, I mean, some of those
they do in San Francisco.
They
Oakland.
do. They catch them on the SP minnow. They catch them on.
That's what I was going to say. Jerk bait.
Kitex with a jib. You know what I mean? Like these are
7-inch swim bait, 7-inch soft swim bait to the lead head.
Right, but this guy's like, you are going to have an awful time. What you need to do is do this fucking boring. And I hate fishing live bait because you're just sitting on the bottom and you're sitting there, right? You're just popping or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's not my style of fishing. But I mean, if you would even mention live bait, you go to Bass Pro, right? You go to Bass Pro in an area that's primarily freshwater, and you even mention live bait, they're like, "Oh my God, how could you even fucking think of doing live bait?"
Well, that's like
I thought it was funny, and I think that's why they targeted him so much. Is I know he's not using live bait, but he's doing something very outside of the social norm that's in freshwater.
So this is another question for you guys. It's okay to bedfish in the tournament, and it's okay to use live scope. And what's the other fucking stupid thing you look in the water like a fucking fluger, whatever?
Flogger. Yeah.
Really, dude, you wouldn't catch me on my fucking knees looking in the water like a fucking idiot. Oh, like, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't freshwater fish, so I can't give you my opinion. But at the same time, these dudes are doing it for money, so I get it, and they have no problem bed fishing. It's kind of frowned upon here a little bit, like if you catch a bedfish, it's like snagging. Fuck, man.
Well, so I mean, me and Paul are both kayak fishermen. So fishing for bedfish isn't an issue, I don't think, right, Paul? Like, because we catch, photo, release.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a huge issue because I'm fucking colorblind, so I can't see the bitch anyway. And the water I'm in is too damn dirty to see more than 2 feet.
Shit.
And it's brown anyway. True. I mean, it don't work. The thing with the floggers is that's a Northeast thing with smallmouth. Well, not Northeast. North thing with smallmouth. People don't know that shit ain't easy. Like, people get beat in the face with that bitch. It ain't, it's not that easy.
Hold on, it's funny. Joe Labarria, right? He was talking about having LaBarbara. He was talking about having to use one, right? He's like the new fan favorite on the show. I can just imagine him coming home from a tournament. He comes home with a black eye, and he has to tell his his missus that he got beat up by a flogger. Like, you're not going to get any points on that one.
So, I mean, but it's all kind of like the same deal. So, like, I don't know, the live scope thing, I feel like it's part of like getting better technology. It's like if you either going to use it or you're not, and it could get really iffy the farther we go with it,
Yeah, there's a lot to it on that. My thing is there's two things I'll unpackage real quick on this. And the first is the live scope. This technology, when side imaging came out years ago, there's a big uproar with that, how it changed fishing. The A-rig got outlawed in professional fishing. I mean, that's just how it is. But technology, the forward-facing sonar, that encompasses the whole technology. Those people pay big money to these series, whereas the A-rig, was somebody just made, had no industry. It's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. The other part of what you are talking about and what Alex was talking about, but didn't say the word, is unwritten rules of fishing. Yeah. And so there's an unwritten rule ain't a fucking rule. Like, I mean, if it's not written there, then it's not a rule. Now, you take it wherever you want to take it, but these folks who are fishing for a living are there to catch fish. That's how they feed their family, and they're going to use the technology and the lures and everything that's available to them to make that happen. And just because somebody hates forward-facing sonar because it thinks it makes fishing too easy, but have never used it, it goes back to what you said earlier, Nick, about two sides to the story. They've never used it. Yeah. And so it's the same thing with kayaks, Nick. In kayak world, people argue over the brand of kayaks like their fucking life depends on it. And half the people arguing about somebody else's kayak being shitty ain't never been in the kayak, or maybe was in it once, right? They've never used it. They just like theirs. And that's fine. You can have that opinion, but you're not going to hear me talk shit about no other kayak because they ain't been in all these other ones. I mean, it's these unwritten rules in fishing are stupid as hell. I think
they're not though. Hold on. Unwritten rule.
Oh,
hold on. Unwritten rule, Nick.
You don't kayak fish, so your unwritten rule.
Hold on, Nick.
Personifications don't matter.
Oh man.
Nick, you fish for calico, right? And that's usually in like kelp beds, right?
No, it's just like harbors, rock, like reefs. We could go from 60 feet or 80 feet all the way to 10 feet.
So let's say there's a spot that that spot, you've worked that spot for seasons, and then Jabberhammer Paul Roberts here rolls up and he's sitting on your fucking spot. Are you not hollering or maybe being a little pissed off that he's sitting on your spot?
No, because you don't get a fucking spot. It's the water. It's open water. No one owns a fucking spot.
I don't know, man.
Exactly. How do you own a spot? You go fishing. You don't own this. I mean,
you don't own it, but in your head, are you like, fuck that guy? I'm a local here. I know that spot. That's my spot. I've cultivated that area.
Well, you got to remember where we fish in California, the pressure is tenfold of a lot of places.
Okay.
So like there's no way to get like that's my spot, because you pull up on a weekday, like on a smaller, these lakes aren't that big, you'll see 25, 30 boats. You know what I'm saying? So it's like in the summertime, I don't even fucking fish a lake because it's always, you'll get there, the jet skis are out, bam, done. So I mean, there's no spots, I think, here. Now, even in the salt, like I pull up to spot to see someone there, I just jump over them. But you're fishing conditions a lot more too. So I'm fishing the high tide and I'm looking for these certain conditions to go down wherever I'm fishing.
Yeah.
And I want to fish that certain condition. So I'll go, okay, let me find the same condition down a little farther.
All right. I'll take that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just fucking petty because I'll tell you what, that Memorial Day weekend when I rolled up, there was like way too many. It was like every bass fisherman in fucking New Jersey, which is like 5, was there.
Oh, man.
And every time they're like, what are you fishing for? And I'm like, crappie. There's no bass back here. Like I fucking lied instantly. to make sure they fucking move off the spot.
Alex, are you talking about a spot within a lake? Or are you talking about the body of water?
I'm almost talking shit. Yeah, so I would say a body of water for me because I title fish right.
There ain't but like 18 bodies of water to fish in your whole state. There's no secret body of water.
Or there is because I call it River X for a reason, right? Hence the fucking fat bass I pull out of there. But I don't want to talk about that too much. I think I totally get what you're saying. Like you'd rather fish the condition, but you're telling me in your heart of hearts, when the conditions are right and you see some fuckhead from Illinois
or
sitting on your spot or New Jersey, yeah, fuck that. You know what? I'm rolling up. I'm looking at you. I'm playing not punk rock or hardcore. I'm playing Nickelback as loud as possible.
So I don't listen. I usually don't listen to punk rock or hardcore when I'm fishing with people because
I don't either.
They don't like what I listen to, so we'll listen to like, some
Nickelback?
classic rock stuff. Yeah,
Nickelback,
definitely Nickelback or Stained.
Wait, are you counting? Wait, hold on. Are you counting Nickelback as classic rock?
No.
Oh,
hey,
God,
have you guys had Aaron Lewis on? Have you tried that yet?
No. That's
swim baiter,
the KD,
big swim baiter.
Is he?
That's the KBN
Have
guy.
you had him on?
Yeah.
I tried. I couldn't line it up.
Yeah, that's the KBN guys. Ron Lambert knows Aaron real good.
Yeah. He's a big swim bait guy.
I'll be fully honest. All the listeners of Bass and Brews, if you're a fan of that guy, what's his name? Aaron
Lewis from Stained.
Oh,
yeah. Well, he has his own.
Yeah, we're never gonna have him on this fucking show. I'm gonna tell you that.
Don't listen to this guy. We don't discriminate against having nobody on. This man talking about a spot. I thought he was talking about a spot on a body of water. Like your point. He's talking about the whole fucking body of water. He lost his damn mind. It's a public way.
No, I want to go back to. Don't shit on me, Paul.
You know what?
We have mixed. Hold on. We have
what's your phone percentage on?
Oh man,
my phone percentage is good. I know we have mixed company, but we're never gonna have Aaron Lewis on. I think we're not gonna have
look, we getting off topic way too damn far.
Oh fuck!
Lord have mercy. You can't.
Hey Nick, welcome to Bass and Brews.
This is the same shit I do.
Yeah.
This is another people will go, stop cutting off the fucking guest. I'm like, oh, sorry, I got ADD,
favorite.
bro.
That's my favorite.
Exactly. Look, I got.
And I gotta say one thing too. When you cut off the guest,
yeah.
you know what the other thing is? They're ready to stop talking. Because you can feel, and when you're in person, I can feel out someone when I know they're not comfortable.
Yeah.
So I know they're going to give me this. Hey, how's it going? So and so, how did you get doing this? I started fishing a year and a half ago.
Oh.
Okay. If I know I'm going to get that, I'm going to keep fucking cutting them off and giving them shit to keep them going. It's like starting an engine. You know what I'm saying? You got to try to find that question where they get
100% clear.
That's where. So Alex and I together, we've had some guests that were really nervous. They said they were nervous before they came on, and so like half of the podcast, Alex and I were going back and forth. We were asking them questions, and then me and him would go back and forth. But towards the end, they always opened up. Because they finally found their voice. They finally found whatever it is that had them open up. And so that was one thing that we learned was having two folks. And while Alex was gone, it was just me. But I tried to have a guest co-host every time paired with the guest that matched up well. And so it was easier to carry that conversation. Now you can have too many people. Like that crazy ass, if you ever the hoodlum cast that we do with Hooks at Hoodlums, where there's like 8-10 people on there. It's a shit show.
Shit.
It's crazy, Zoom? Man. Oh. Yeah, it's not a podcast. They put it on YouTube. It's Hoodlum Cast on Hooks at Hoodlums. I mean, it's great. It's funny as hell, but it's all over the place, man. You got 8 people on there usually.
The Hoodlum Cast is amazing. If people don't know, you should know because you heard the other ad. I guess we'll drop what do they call it? A mid-roll ad. Anyways, go to hooksethoodlums.com. Use discount code either Paul Heels, where's he at over there, or Swamp Rat Fishing. Heels 10 for you? Oh, I didn't even have the 10. I give a It's an 80% discount if you use my code. So definitely use my code. But it's an additional 80%. You're going to pay 80% more.
What is Hoodlums? What is it?
So they are a apparel company.
Okay.
But go ahead, Paul.
They tried to be a bake company at one point, but that shit got shut down.
God damn. Anyways, they're an apparel company. They're an apparel company, primarily bass fishing. I mean, you can look it up. They're solid. You should check them out. They are solid. They've got this hat right here that you can see, Underwater Robberies. It's like their mainstay hat. But what's awesome is when you become part of their team, it's becoming part of their fucking family. And everybody kind of has I mean, I wouldn't say we still have our overlords of Andrew, Ken, and Wild Bill who decide everything. But they treat like me and Paul are both pro staff for them, right?
Okay.
But
promotional staff.
Make that clear.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna yell at you.
No. We will yell at you. But they treat their promotional staff fucking phenomenal. It is a family. It is the best. I don't know. We talked about another podcast.
They promote us very well themselves through their platform. Like,
dude, Wild Bill has his logo on his jersey this year.
Yep.
See, that's a good sponsor, man, to find someone that he wants to work with you. That was a hard one for me to find. And I've had a couple offers from companies where I'm like, I don't feel like you want to work with me. Like, you don't even know what I'm doing. I'll be like, have you listened to an episode? They'll be like, oh yeah, we listened to a couple. I'm like, you sure? You fucking sure, dude? Yeah. I'm like, okay. I don't know, man. You know, like, and the people that have worked with me, they're pretty solid. You know, like Phoenix, it's been 2 years now with Phoenix. And then I just started. It's been 2 months with Electric. And
I love how pro you are. Like, you dropped real sneakily. You dropped that mid-roll product placement. You dropped that product placement mid-roll. I love it.
It's been you learn over, like, I think when I first started, here was the issue. When I first started, I would do 4 or 5 in a day.
Yeah.
And I do this sometimes. I do this sometimes still. You start drinking with the first guy.
Yeah.
Okay, you drink 4 or 5 beers. You get to the next one. You drink another 4 or 5. You're feeling pretty good. Exactly. Then you get to the third one. I'm like, I'm pretty fucked up. You get to the fourth one. I can't even use that podcast sometimes. So I stopped doing that because I'm like, all right, I can't, I'm wasting my time in the beginning. And then I learned over. So it's a give and take. I feel like sometimes it sounds horrible. Maybe I'm an alcoholic. I feel like sometimes when I podcast, if I'm not drinking, I don't feel the same sometimes. It loosens you up a little. Now I tried to get high. Didn't work the same. I'm fucking looking off, like thinking about something completely different. I'm like, I ain't no Joe Rogan. This mouth ain't fucking going. Once you get a couple, tall cans in me, I'm fucking ready to roll.
Hey man, you get a couple eight alcohol White Claw surges in you, and I'm ready to roll. You know
what I started trying? Those cut waters.
Yeah, cut water is good.
12%.
What the
12%, Paul?
What?
Paul, 12%.
Is it a seltzer water?
It's a tequila-based seltzer water. No, it's tequila. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they do other shit now because they have like a gin and tonic. I meant to tell you about that, Paul, because we got to try to trigger them because we are the right alcoholics for them. And so Paul has this thing, Nick, where he is a country bumpkin, and he would try to catch up with me when he first got on the show. Paul would, what did you drink the first time? It was something really weak, right? I shit on him for it. It was something really weak. And I normally drink like IPAs because I'm a fucking, I guess, old school hipster at this point. And, but then he kept trying to up it. So then he started calling it alcohols, which is like we're going to put it on his shirt. It's the fucking best thing ever where when I was gone, he would be so proud to be like, I'm drinking White Claw Surge with 8 alcohols. 8%. Like, he was so proud about it.
Instead of percent.
Yeah. Instead of percent alcohol.
That's fucking hilarious, dude.
Yeah, but Alex thinks he can hang, but I can go ahead and tell you right now,
Oh, there's a couple episodes I could not.
Have you guys ever done an episode where you got too drunk you couldn't put it out?
No.
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 How
How
many episodes have you done so far? How many
this
episodes?
Is 64, isn't it?
Okay. 64. And how long you been doing it for?
1 year.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, we've been doing so we had a little what's funny is I'm about ready to put a video on YouTube about this. Like there was a and I fucking hate doing this, right? Because me and Paul talked. I'm tired of being gushy about him, but Paul like really aligned my vision on how this, like I had a vision for this show, right? And then Paul inserted himself into the show to be not only a guest, like he reached out to me and said like, listen, I want to be on your show. Fuck it, we're going to do it. Dude, that show ran so long. At that point in time, I was only doing a show that only ran an hour at the most.
Yeah.
Paul's show ran so long. Maybe people don't know this, but at one point in time in the middle of the show, I literally had to piss into a bucket on camera as sneakily as I could because I had to pee because it was just me and him.
Yeah.
And then once I got him on, like it opened it up. But we've only been doing it for a year. We've been April 14th was 1 year.
Nice. Congrats.
Yeah, and we've been but I did have some weeks where I couldn't fill guests.
So the funny part, some of our friends, Alex's first season was 6 episodes.
Yo, I was doing
because it was all over the place, and then it finally started raining in the end.
I was doing seasons like it was a BBC show. Like I was like, listen, it's gonna make us look better because I saw some bullshit tip on YouTube where they're like, yo, the more seasons you have, the more listeners. Fuck that shit. So I don't know if you guys know or not. We got rid of seasons altogether. There's no seasons at all.
Right. This is something else. Yeah. This is something else Alex has done to the show and hasn't told me until midway through an interview. Nick, I got a damn real ass question for you because you have some badass guests on your show. How do you just see somebody or know somebody like, you know what, I want that dude on my show? Do you reach out like how do you kind of plan, or do you plan?
I could show you. This is what I did in the beginning. So the first thing was I had a lot of saltwater calico guys. So I had probably like 30 or 40, and I became really good friends on it. If you ever hear me talk about Bobby Big Dick, Bobby Martinez, he has a story where he flipped his boat out an island and washed up, and it's crazy. We became super good friends. So like usually he comes on every 50 episodes, but he couldn't the last one. He had a tournament, so Butch Brown came on, which was just as good. Then after that, I think the next person that triggered everything was a guy, Charles Tatuna. He's a tattoo artist out here. He kind of pushed me to some of the swim bait guys. So I think I had on Kevin Matson, and then Mike Gilbert was one of the first guys I reached out to.
Like what episode do you think that was?
Mike Gilbert was 60 something, so I was about a year. It might have been Chris Purcell. So it's another guy. Became Sunbait Underground, the owners. Chris became a very good friend too, as well. Like we clicked and like drinking beers and hanging out. So I've gone fishing with him a couple times, and I'll go hang out with him when I'm down his way. But I started having the swim bait guys on, and that kind of is what clicked everything, where it started rolling. So like I met one guy, then I met this other guy. Then I met another guy. And then I also look for people sometimes that might not have a huge following, but they're interesting. That's another thing I look for, because I feel like I've had some guys on that like don't have like a huge following, but their fucking story is awesome. Like we get along really good, have a good rapport, I had who have I had on? I've had a ton of guys on, so I don't remember. But I mean, you can't, I feel like if you chase those people that just have huge Instagram followings, or another hard one for me is women. Finding the right woman to get on that's a real fisherman. And I don't.
Have you had a woman on your show yet?
Yeah, I've had Leanne P on. I've had Rachel Uribe. She's an MLF fisherman. Okay. I've had Sophie, one of the main people at Real Happy, a clothing company. Tracy. She's another local. Her and her boyfriend, I'm good friends with her boyfriend, Cody.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but it's hard to find women that it sounds horrible. They're shoving their titties and their ass out, you know.
Nope. That's
And I want
completely.
and I fact check that.
point.
I'll fact check it with other people. So I'll go,
So,
hey, have
so
you heard
you
of
will
this
only
person?
investigate the women, is what you're saying.
Men too. Certain.
I'm just messing.
No, because you have
because you were
people-
like, well, you said I don't ever.
He doesn't
No,
do
but
homework.
it's different. Hey, guys are out there flipping their dicks out, you know. You know, it's a
Listen,
different
any
story.
dude who flips their dick out and catches a fish, we
Yeah.
watch on Bass and
Hey,
Brews.
if you can dick dance, you can come on Bass and Brews.
Marking that one. 1
I
hour
can't,
into.
I can't wait for the DMs to come in after this episode drops on Friday.
But
You
I
had,
mean, I'll go on. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
It's figuring out the guest was kind of like somewhat organic. Like you kind of just,
Mhm.
I try to schedule, like it's hard. I try to schedule a month ahead. Like, so
Yeah.
what I fucked myself on this month, I went to the Delta and I was packed, had all the episodes lined up, had the Butch one that I didn't really start planning in June. Well, I figured, oh, I'm going to Yuma. So I had to fill in this little gap. So I'm like trying to fill in the gap right now. You can get fucked up really easy, especially if you're a one-man show. So like I'm
Mhm.
editing, doing everything, the video. When you see the videos on YouTube, it's all me. Everything's
Yeah.
me. So like sometimes working, trying to fish, and sometimes you feel like a sellout because, man, I haven't fished for 3 weeks, you know, and I've been doing these fucking podcasts talking about
It's-
fishing. You know what
Well,
I'm trying to say?
Yeah, you asked earlier if we've ever done a show we didn't put out, and we didn't tell you this because
Yeah.
Alex is a dumbass and didn't bring a charger for his phone. But one of the things we tell people before we actually get
Yeah.
into the show is this isn't live, but it's
Mhm.
live. There's no editing. Whatever
There's no
says is said.
Yeah,
Whatever
yeah.
happens is happened. Like this shit's gonna hit YouTube and whatever the hell else comes out,
I'm fine
and
with
we
that.
roll with it. But again, you know, that's how we operate. We make it easy on ourselves, but the guests that we have on make it even easier because it's entertaining and folks enjoy the parts of it.
So this is one problem I have had, and I probably get a little better content sometimes for myself, is I'll tell them, hey, free form, I'm going to shoot out questions. And if answer them, if you don't want to go back and listen, I'll cut that part. It's happened a lot.
Ooh.
Say 20% I've had to go back and cut, but the interviews have been amazing.
Wait. So hold on. So you've told them like fucking free fire, but you let me know and I'll back it up. Like I'll
So like I'll let them listen. Some people will go, hey, can I listen to that episode? I'll be like, all right, and they'll be, hey, can you cut this out? Maybe this out. Or they'll say, you know, once you have like in person and you're having 6-7 beers, you don't feel like there's a mic in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
sometimes
I love that.
at
Yeah.
4 years of doing this, are you still doing that technique?
I have done it recently, yes.
Really? Okay. Just making sure.
Because I didn't want to, and part of it is like I don't want to the shit talking thing. I don't want it to be one-sided. So it was someone else talking shit where I'm like, I don't want to put it out because I want the other person to have a rebuttal, and I don't think it's fair.
I
So,
think
like-
I think it's super. Like I had a early episode with Nate Shagden, right? And we talked about some real shit, like real deep shit that was not fishing related. And I'm almost. I think he spoke to me. He's like, "Yeah, well, thank God you didn't tell me you could edit this," because he fucking let it out. And he didn't ask for it to be edited. It was just like we're kind of doing the opposite. Like we front load the guests normally. Like, yo, we're not gonna edit this shit. And that episode with Nate was one when you talk about episodes where maybe you were too drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Nate both. So normally we crack beers, we do all this thing in the middle. Me and Nate both drank, I think, about 3/4 a bottle of Jameson on air in an hour. Like we got annihilated super quick. He got super deep. But I think that's maybe another technique that might be used for all you guys. And again, I think if anybody's taking anything from this, Nick, and I really appreciate this. Like we're all in this together, right? Like we can all, like, it doesn't need to be a fight between content creators. And you dropping this with us being a tournament, like we do the tournament kayak thing, but
I feel like there's
a
room
content
for
creator show.
There's room for everyone.
Everybody.
I do try to. I always tell people, I'm like, hey, I don't try to suck your dick the same month as someone else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They go, I get
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'm like, so like if you go on a podcast with, and this happened with Matty Wong, and it's because he fucking won the Bass Nation. So the only thing I got over everyone else, he came in studio for me.
Yeah.
So that was a really good episode for me because he came in and told the story in person.
And you got the one guy, what's his name? Ah, shit, I already forgot him. Josh, or whatever. Josh, whatever.
Jones, before he kind of came out on a lot of podcasts.
Before he came out, yeah.
So I don't even know if he's been on any other ones. I really haven't kept up. And I don't look at a lot of other, I look at certain ones that I kind of like relate to. Like you guys, I'll listen to Jake.
You didn't listen to us. You didn't listen
I
to
lurked you.
us.
I lurked you guys because I saw Bass and Brews and I'm like, Sometimes I go, let me see if these guys are really fucking drinkers or not. Because some guys will go, hey, Bass and Brews.
When you said you lurked us, did you lurk us prior? I mean, you can be honest here.
Yeah.
You lurked us prior?
Yeah, I lurk all the time on all kinds of people's shit.
Did you lurk us on like Spotify or whatever?
No, I saw you on TikTok. I saw you on TikTok.
TikTok.
Oh, you found us on TikTok.
Hey, quit hollering into your phone, dude.
Sorry. Really
Hold on one
excited.
second. I got to text my wife. She's supposed to take
fine.
my son to fucking basketball. And of course.
Oh, I forget. It's too late for practice down here on the East Coast.
I hear it's only
Too
6.
late here.
I
It's
know.
only-
That's crazy.
It's not that crazy. It's called time zones, Paul.
Hey, Alex.
you can wrap your head around.
Alex, while he's sending that text, quit interrupting. The man was telling a good ass story. You're gonna take his mind off of the good story.
No. This is how it works. This is how.
Thank you.
I don't mind it because I feel like I do the same shit. How can I get mad at someone that? And don't worry, it's coming. The hate's coming. You're gonna get those fucking reviews that say, "Fuck this guy." Have you got any yet?
No, we've
friends.
so no, I
For
have
the people we know.
on Apple, we have gotten a couple, which really hurt my feelings. I had one prior to me leaving that said, like, that guy's voice sounds like Froggy from the Little Rascals.
Wait, so you're not on Apple?
We are on Apple.
Oh, okay.
No, on Apple, the guy said his voice, he's talking about my voice, sounds like Froggy from. And then when I came back, the same guy said the show was great, but Froggy came back. And I was like, God damn.
So
Fuck.
Nick, here's what happened. When Alex left, I think it was about 4 months.
My man
covered
it though.
Of just me and a guest co-host. And the guest co-host was always somebody that had been a previous guest. So we put out an episode a week. Every now and again, we'll have a little impromptu live event.
Mm-hmm.
But we had like 4 months worth of, and we grew a lot during that time.
We did.
When
the Froggy left.
Yeah, when Froggy left. So we had a whole generation of Bass and Brews listeners who had no idea who the fuck Alex was. None. You know, when you start listening to a podcast, a lot of times you don't go back and listen to previous episodes. You start when you find them and you go on.
Yes.
And so we had a whole generation of people when Alex came back, they're like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah. It was really weird.
I had a co-host for, I think, the first 40 episodes. But I mean, he got really busy with his family and his kids. He was taking care of his kids on his own, so it was hard to schedule with him.
What a jerk! Way to take care of your family.
Yeah, so it was cool. It was cool having him on, but I feel like it could be. There's times I wish I would have a co-host. Sometimes,
No, dude.
There's times.
I'm gonna tell you what. As from doing this singular and then going into Paul. Like co-host is the way to go. It's
Alex has never been into me, just to make this clear. He has never been into me.
I have been. Not into him, but in him.
Nick, one of the episodes that I liked the most, and it was a lot of it had to do with kayak anglers, but it really to me hit the point. It's when you had Obedy, Mike, and Greg on, right? And everybody in the kayak world knows Greg Blanchard. You know, he's just huge YouTube. Everybody knows who he is. He makes some of the best content you can find in fishing. But when you had him on, they were digging in on Greg, and you could, I wasn't even watching it. I was just listening, but you could tell that he was uncomfortable. But as you said earlier, people open up. Like he cussed a little bit. Like I didn't know if he cussed or not. He opened up. And that podcast to me really embodied what your podcast is all about. Is you get these folks to just kind of at some point in time in that podcast, they sit back, they kick the legs up. Let's go.
I didn't see that one on YouTube. Was that a live in studio one?
No, I did it on YouTube. I think you could look back. So usually when I do the YouTube, it's up like a week later.
No. I meant, was that
no, that wasn't live.
I listened to that audio. Like I didn't
there's a YouTube version that I fucked up when I went up north. I forgot all my cameras.
Oh no.
So I had 2 DSLRs, I had all the stands, I had the Black Magic deal, like everything. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, but you did that in person with them, right?
Yeah, that was up north with them. But yeah, it was funny because they talked about shitting their pants and throwing up, and that's the whole point. That's like the key to what I really want from the podcast is like, okay, these guys are really good anglers, but they're fun. And I know, and people go, well, why don't you get more tournament guys on? They make a living at this. They cannot do that sometimes. They can't come on and say fuck shit, whatever they want, and get fucked up. And so it's hard for them to come on and open up, you know, and I get that 100%. And I do try to get the local tournament guys on, or different, you know, some of the Delta guys but it's hard to have this type of conversation with a guy that is sponsored by like fucking that Megabass or Guggen or whoever it is, you know. Sure. They got a name to uphold, you know.
Well, that's not potentially. Those folks, that's paying. That's their job.
Exactly.
And this is not like, you know, Alex with the Coast Guard or whoever that has this other job where people don't give a shit. They're never going to listen to it. Versus you're talking to somebody in the industry about the industry on a podcast in the industry. I mean, you know,
listen, I'm about ready to be done with my job. If somebody wants to sponsor this show and I can get the same amount of money, we'll call this Lass, and we'll call this Bass and Lass. We'll get rid of all the brews.
All the brews, huh?
I'll destroy. No, I'm just joking. We will never. Paul said it correctly. I will continue to do this as long as Paul does it with me, my partner in crime. We're going to go that way.
Yeah.
Nope.
That does fuck you up. I'm like fixing the mic. It's all.
God, I can't fucking get it right.
Look, I've been trying to fix my hat with this lighting all day, and my right hand is my left hand, and my left hand is my right hand, and I'm colorblind, and I can't hear.
I had one review that they removed it because they said it was sexually. It was on iTunes, Apple, and it says, "Why does the host always talk about dicks going in people's mouths?" And I screenshot it because it's fucking hilarious. I'm like, this is great because everyone goes, I go, hey, get the mic closer, like you're sucking a dick, you know, like, and I'm like, and they, you know, and people will always go, you know, and I'm like, yeah, dude, like you gotta get it close, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I've had a shitload of bad reviews, but it's kind of like. At the same time, I'm like, what do you guys expect? I don't know how to interview people. I just do it.
But you put out 400, almost 400 episodes.
Yeah.
So you're going to get that.
360 or 58.
In the Carolinas, that's 400. We round up.
Right.
One number over the other number, we round up. This is the thing is, Joe Rogan's popular because he's Joe Rogan, but he creates controversy. And controversy go in storytelling. And controversy is a part of the storytelling. It's part of the entertainment. And I like entertaining podcasts. I like to listen to people talk about techniques and stuff like that. And we've had people that the podcast is talking about techniques or lures or rods or something like that. But there's a lot of entertainment that we don't try. The shit just happens because we're fucking degenerates. And so the entertainment is just as part of the conversation. And that's what your podcast is. Your podcast is entertaining, and people are going to talk about fishing, and they're going to talk about how to fish. But there's in the end, you just learned something about a person that you've never met. That now you go connect with them on social media, and you follow their stuff, and you support their social media. And who knows? Maybe you have a podcast, you reach out to them, and you listen to them. You had Johnny Ellis on from North Carolina. He's not far from me.
Yeah, I had Johnny on, and I had Wayne Campbell on a while ago from Universe as well. And that was a call-in. That was during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking at call-ins and kind of, yeah. So and I remember doing that was what? I'm sorry.
When you had Johnny on, you just said, "Hey, I'm trying to reach out to a broader area," and you got on the East Coast, and he's North Carolina. I listened to that. Now, a buddy that I know told me about Johnny Ellis in that episode because, again, I start, then I follow. I don't go backwards much.
Yeah, so I reached out, man.
Yeah, I reached out to him and messaged that, "Hey, man, I'm down here in the Raleigh area. We're nearby. Just listened to your episode with Nick on Cast and Crank. It was awesome." And he messaged back. But that's kind of how it goes. But the entertainment side is the fun part about doing this.
Yeah,
like I don't want to just sit here and just talk fishing for an hour and then end the podcast. I mean, we're going to go 2 hours, 2.5, 3 hours. I mean, we range all over the fucking place with what we talk about. But the story leads us to the end.
No, I agree, man. It's been a wild ride of ups and downs. I'll tell you that. And even, like losing friends over it. And, it sucks because once sponsorships come into play, kind of things start to change a little bit,
We don't have sponsors. We talked about it.
We'd love to have them. StreamYard.
Yeah, one or two would be fun. But again, it has to be.
Listen, I'll talk.
The podcast doesn't need to change because somebody gave us money, because it's really not costing us anything to do this. Correct. I've got a black Blue Yeti microphone. $40 damn. I couldn't fit this bitch in my mouth if somebody punched it into my face. I mean, that's a big ball. But
he could fit it.
But the thing is this, we ain't no high production. We don't have soundboards and all this shit. I'm using a camera on my computer. I mean,
I think so. Again, to peel behind the scenes a little bit. So we did actually get a legit two sponsorship offers for the podcast.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great until the terms came around. So the terms, I'm trying to do the nicest way possible. But so the terms, and both the companies had basically the same thing. There was one that had a little different. I don't know how much I can go into that, but there was one company that wanted multiple 30-second mid-roll drops, right? They wanted a pre, a mid, and an end.
Okay.
At a minute a pop.
So we're looking at they're paying a nice amount of money for that.
Yeah, well, nope, it was not. It was a very small amount of money for it. And then product, which product is great, and that's great when you're starting out, but
was it fishing product?
No, it was it was outside of fishing.
It was alcohol.
Okay. It was the brews. Yeah,
it was alcohol.
Was it?
Only one person on the podcast was going to get the fucking alcohol because one of them was local and it wasn't me.
It was local. Yeah, it was local to me. So we literally said, like, that's not gonna work. That's I don't know. Just it didn't feel right. And then we had another one, and I talked to Paul a little bit. Maybe I haven't talked to him enough about it. But this one wanted.
This is new to me.
Yeah, so this one wanted 4 30-second drops
in one episode.
Yeah,
fuck.
4
me, really?
4 30-second drops. They were gonna pay less than $1,000. No product. but then they had a stipulation on our content, on who we could talk about and who we couldn't. And so I actually don't think Paul, I don't think I talked to you about this, because this is an instant no-go. This is the beauty about what we're doing on these podcasts. And I mean, you know, the forerunners have talked about this, like Joe Rogan, this and that, right? Basically, all of us, I think the really good ones, the ones that I take that back. Let me rewind on that one. The ones that I actually enjoy and consume all the time are not technical related. They are story related. But it just happens that fishing is the bond that puts us all together.
Yes.
I don't want a restriction on who I can and can't talk about. Like, I want to talk shit about fucking Mike Iaconelli. Paul can tell me not to do that because we're co-hosts, right? Because we're in this together. This is our baby. But I don't want somebody else to tell me I can't do that. And to revert back to your podcast, so what I liked about yours, because you did, when I got into your podcast, you were very much on the swim bait, right? And the swim bait and what you did, and after talking to you about your musical stylings, it makes sense. You guys are a very punk rock community, meaning we're going to take this for what we want to fucking do, not
Quit
what.
saying punk rock. The man done said he don't fuck with no punk rock.
That's not what he said.
No, I played in punk and hardcore.
No, he said hardcore. Which
so
is
punk, hardcore,
punk
metal, all of it. I mean, I played with.
I don't know shit
Paul,
about music.
Paul,
I like
you don't know shit. It's
quit
the
hollering
same
into
thing.
your phone.
Clipping. But I mean,
Nick,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, Nick.
One of the things you talk about is the quality of your podcast. That's why you don't like doing the phone calls and stuff like that. Are you expensive gear? Or
Yes.
are you okay?
You can see I got the Joe Rogan deal. Yeah, I think when I first started, I dropped probably about $600. Then my next big one was probably so right now I have, when I'm doing the podcast, I have 2 Macs going. I have 3 mics. This stand I think cost about $450. I have 3 of them. I have a headphone amp. I have 2 DSLRs. I probably have like 8, probably like 6,000 and 7,000 equipment, plus the studio. So I have a whole studio with a big brick piece, spray painted cast and crank and woodwork and all kinds of shit in here. So,
I saw that background is dope as fuck. I was trying to, if people don't know, when we have guests on, I just steal photos off their Instagram. And I was looking on your Instagram. There's so many good ones. What do we got here? Got a tinkle. Yeah, I know you got a tinkle. Go, big guy.
No, I'm good.
No, he's got a tinkle. He just likes to let us know. I just get up and go.
He's got to go pee-pee.
That's really why we have 2 guests. So, hey, mute your mic so we don't have to hear you piss again. Oh, my God. Did he do it or not? Let's find out. All right. He might have done it. But did you start out with all that gear, or did you start out pretty low-key?
So when I was 20, I went to sound engineering school. So I'm a sound engineer. So I knew how to record bands. I used to have a recording studio. I recorded a lot of bands. I worked at some decent studios. So I knew how to do everything already. So I just revisited, like 15, 20 years later. So I knew what to get right off the bat, what type of mics, interfaces. I use Pro Tools to record. I do the compression, everything, mastering. I know how to do all of it. So
Pro Tools, that seems like excessive a little bit. No?
Well, I compress everything. I do compress everything, EQ everything. I sound that the hard thing for me is like I'll turn off a band if the recording sounds like shit a lot of the time.
Gotcha.
That's just my deal. Like if I can't, because I've heard a couple podcasts where I'm like, dude, if you just I would message them and be like, hey, here's what you need to get if you want to do it and make it sound better. Now this is before the StreamYard, the Zooms, where it sounds pretty decent. Before it didn't have that, would be phone on some piece of shit. And I'm like, man, it ain't that expensive to really get something going. But with Pro Tools, I feel like it's easy to Like I have every fucking episode saved on a hard drive, mixed, everything.
Yeah. I
And
love
then-
that you mentioned that, right? Like I did before I joined the military, I wanted to be a sound engineer. That was my deal, right?
Mhm.
I was in hip hop bands, I was in hardcore, punk, metal bands. I did everything, right? This voice isn't just from cigarettes, it's from screaming my head off at 14 years old. He's just scarred it. But I always thought it was funny. Like we're always very what's the right way to say this? So we're always very critical of sound, right? But we're also in a genre of music that means it's an everyman's thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I'm like, I hear what you're saying. Exactly.
But you're using Pro Tools, right? Pro Tools is super expensive to get the full deal. I don't know. I haven't touched Pro Tools.
It's cheap
since
now. So it's
2002.
it's $49 a month.
That's
plus
not cheap. That's not
you,
cheap.
do you want to know
$49
what,
a month.
hey, you want to know how much I put out a month for the podcast with all this shit that I use?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I think like 600.
So, yo.
So I got my hosting service,
Yeah.
which is Megaphone. I pay for
Yeah.
Pro Tools. I pay for Premiere Pro because I do all the editing, and I pay for a video hosting service for Patreon because I'll do some videos, private videos.
Okay.
I bought a laptop on credit because I needed another one because my one shit out. So it's easy to like add that up quick.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Patreon's a cool thing because everyone can donate that way and help out, and then the sponsorship helps. But yeah, I put out. I do taxes, you know, like I have fucking write-offs, and it's not. I'll never quit my job to do this, but I mean it's. The only way to make what you need to is either you're a professional fisherman, so they kind of get the edge on the sponsorship because they can have like, you know, they fit in the right genre, or you know you're a big YouTuber and it's like you could make a good living. But I'm kind of happy, not happy. I wish I made more off the podcast, but I'm happy with what I do have. It's pretty cool.
I think it's great what you do. I think it's fuck, man. Yeah, I mean, you put it out there for the everyman. Like I said earlier in the episode, you were one of the guys. Like this dude curses, they drink, and they talk more about non-fishing than fishing, right? Like fishing is the fabric that puts us together, but you are putting together stories, which is way more important.
That's what I always feel like. Is I feel like you get to see the dude fishing or on Instagram, and sometimes the guy's different, you know. Sometimes you meet a guy and he's like not what you think he was. He could be cool, he could be an asshole, I don't know, but it's cool to hear that side of the story where, you know, I'll meet guys and they'll be like, shit, like the dude from Bass Tricks, Brian Evans. You heard of Bass Tricks?
Yep.
Okay, so he owns it now. He's like, dude, I saw your band play like fucking 10 years ago. I'm like, no way.
Damn.
And like shit like that, it's kind of cool to connect with people like that. And you just get to hear like a backstory of a lot of guys. There's dudes that have done a ton of shit. I've had Amir K. He's on comedy. Who knows he on? Fucking Mad TV, comedian. Went and saw the show, like Brain Improv.
Going
like,
deep dive there. Listen,
I mean-
most of our listeners aren't going to know Mad TV. Like that shit ended in like 03.
But he's a huge comedian. Like I follow comedies like where I dork out at. So I see all the comedy shit he does. And I'm like, damn, you're with so-and-so, you're with Bill Burr, you're with, you know, whoever. I'm like, it's fucking awesome.
You got to figure out how to get Bill Burr or so I listen to a shit ton of podcasts, right? To be completely honest, I don't listen to a ton of fishing podcasts. What I listen to is like other shit, right? But Bert Kreischer, Bert Kreischer?
Right, Bert Chrysler.
There you go.
No,
Chrysler.
it's Bert Kreischer, but
It's okay.
It's Bert
He's got a lisp. He's got a lisp. It's okay.
Fuck you. You hit me up on the video. I don't have that bad of one. But anyways, he has this new one, 2 bears, 1 cave.
Yeah, I love that.
Dude, it is like my new favorite one because it's completely uncensored, like just bullshit talking. It's fucking phenomenal.
Tom Segura is another funny, real funny.
Oh, dude, that dude is. I love it when he's actually on the show, right? I mean, they're good without it, but when those two are together, it's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I listened to that one. Two Bears, One Cave.
Yeah.
I'll listen to Fighter and the Kid sometimes.
Okay.
I don't listen to Rogan as much unless it's a guest I really like.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll listen to all Bill Burr stuff. Ryan Sickler, he's another funny guy.
I'm going to tell you what, Bill Burr is my man, and how I got introduced to his podcast. Oh my God, he shut the video off. He must be doing something weird. But Bill Burr is amazing. And how I found out about that Monday morning podcast he does is he did a whole bit on the U.S. Coast Guard.
Oh, did he?
He did. It was about, I think like 3 years ago now. But at one point, he's like, you got to go in and save these people. They're super rich. They shouldn't be out where they are. And they got to keep their cool. But the whole time they're thinking like, I wish you would fucking die, you piece of shit. And I'm not saying I agree with that, but
I'm sure you've been on a lot of shit where it's like just idiots doing dumb stuff.
I mean, most people listen to audio, but yeah, no, he's Bill Burr's amazing. He's like my spirit animal. He's angry all the time.
Exactly.
He's grumpy, but he has a really good view of the world, and I like that.
I agree. I love Bill Burr, man.
And he didn't show his dick, So here's, if we're going to talk about comedians for a minute, I don't know why we got into this. Right?
Are we talking about comedians or penises?
Both.
Dicks now.
Because Louis C.K. was like my favorite comedian ever, right? And then he got Me Too'd out because homeboy decided to show his dick to everybody. Probably shouldn't fucking be doing that. Just a heads up.
Well, I think he beat off, right? He beat off in front of two girls.
Yeah, he would make new female comedians come in, supposedly, and watch him beat off.
Yeah.
But that dude spoke to me as a spirit animal, specifically when he was talking about his kids, because he'd be like, my kid would come up to me, and she'd be like, I got a secret. And then the kid would cough into his mouth, and he'd be like, what the fuck? Why did I think this is going to be fucking valid? Like, that always runs with me. It's I think I was a 29-year-old father when I had my first kid, and like, I don't know, that dude spoke to me. I was really upset when I found out he was a fucking creepo. But Bill Burr's not a creepo. He's just an angry old man, and I love him. I cherish him for everything that he does.
Nick, what is your story? What brought you to where you are right now? What's that story? Usually we get to that in the first part of the podcast, but we got three people on here that are experts at tangisizing.
That's a new word.
It's a common word in North Carolina.
Well, I'm from both Carolinas. But anyway, we've done gone off in the left field, but we still need to get your story. That what brought you here to the point that you got 361, almost 400 podcasts that you've heavily invested time and money into and have great guests. Like, what's got you? Where were you to get you here?
I guess. I mean, I guess I love fishing so much. Like, I guess everything I do. Okay, I always start a hobby. I've done this my whole life. I'll start something, just fucking quit it like after 6 months. And this is the first time, even with music. I mean, I played music for years, like 10, 15 years, but I quit that. And then I found fishing and I loved it. And the way I got into fishing was my brother-in-law bought my oldest son a little Walmart pole it's like a little Spider-Man one. And he was his fourth birthday. And we went to the local park. I had no clue what I'm doing. So I asked this bum, his name was, the reason I know the bum, because we used to have a bum that lived with us. His name was Dan Skiblo. And he used to drink Steel Reserves like fucking 12 a day. This guy, he gets fucked up. And his buddy was Bob Slunka. Bob Slunka. So this dude's at the park, comes up to me. I have both my fucking kids, and I'm trying to figure out how to fish. I got like power bait on a thing. He's like, give me the fucking rod. I'm like, who the fuck are you? You know, he's like, I know Dan. And I'm like, all right. So I gave him the rod. He puts a piece of hot dog on there. Start catching bluegill. And my kid loved it. And I'm like, this is fun. So the next thing I did is I hit up my buddy at work, Roger. He's a big He's into catfish and bass. Started doing catfish. I'm like, cool. He's like, hey man, you got to catch a bass. So I started trying doing that. It took me a while. I caught a bass, and then loved that. Do it all the time. Then I got into surf fishing. So kind of like surf casting, but on a lighter scale down here. So you use like, I guess the SoCal surf fishing would be more like SP minnows, Lucky Craft 110s. I usually would use maybe like a steelhead rod with like a 200 size reel with a 50-pound braid with a who knows 20-pound leader. So I'm throwing that Lucky Craft in the surf just for halibut. We get big halibut here. So for halibut, calico, white sea bass, leopard sharks from the surf. And then after that, I got a boat, and then it all changed. I started going in the ocean, and I fish freshwater sometimes. But then it turned back to, I guess the music thing and the audio thing kind of turned it into this. So now I feel like I've done this a long time, and my goal is 5 years. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this for 5 years. I already have 4 under my belt. We'll see how 5 goes, and if it goes well, then I'll keep going. And I'm coming up on 4, and it'll be August. 4 years, man. It's
wow.
It's crazy. I remember having, I've been through a lot. I had my kid, I think right when I started this. Yeah.
Why put the cap on it?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, it's because I feel like what I do, it takes more money and more work. So because I like having it in person, I have to travel. So it's going to cost me more. Like I got to go to the Airbnb and pay for an Airbnb, gas, all this shit when I travel. So it's like, if I want to keep up with this, I got to earn more from it. So if I got the sponsors I needed to do that, I'd love to keep going, but it could get to the point where, fuck man, how am I going to work and do this? So I'm using my vacation when I go to do this shit, so it's kind of we'll see where we're at, because I this isn't bad Zooming with 2 guys. It's hard for me to do Zoom interviews, like it is compared to in person, especially if you're used to doing something all the time in person. It's just like I feed off people a lot.
Dude, you set your bar so high to begin with, I think.
Do you ever feel like, or do you ever have the worry that, damn, I'm going to run out of people to invite? Interesting people.
Of course. Hell yeah. That's kind of why I don't. So I'll listen to some podcasts. I'll have the same guest on like 5 times or 6 times a year.
Yeah.
I try not to do anyone more than once or twice a year, depending on the guy. There's dudes that have a shit ton to say.
Yo,
like
Butch, you just have him every fucking episode.
So I could, Mike Gilbert, Kelly Pupo, Bass Jesus. I've had him on. He's a buddy too. We hang out. So there's a lot of dudes that have so much history and stories that I'll have on more, but I try not to go back to the well too much, more than once a year. I just feel like it's not natural. And I don't write down questions. Like I don't have a fucking notepad most of the time where I'm like, hey, well, what about this? So that's another thing, like, do you guys do that?
Yeah.
Hold on. Alex, shut the fuck up.
What kind of fucking idiot does that? No, just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Nick, exactly. What kind of fucking idiot does that?
No, you know what? A professional does that, and I'm not a professional.
So
no, Alex. No, shh. Alex, Nick, this dude, like I come on here, I know who the guest is. I probably follow them through social media or listen to the podcast and know who they are. I've got a stupid memory. Like I don't remember the shit. Like I don't remember to take the dogs out in the morning, but I can remember some bullshit off a podcast I listened to 2 months ago with a guest we're having on. But I never come on here with no questions. We do have some questions at the end that will last year, our shotgun round. But in general, my first question is always like, what brought you here? Blah, blah, blah. We start talking, and then the conversation goes where the fuck it goes. And I talk to my hands a lot too.
Yeah.
Alex tried to be professional when he got back. And I see him over there reading questions off a piece of paper. I'm like, what the? And this isn't like in the green room or afterwards.
Yeah.
He's reading. I'm like, Alex, what the fuck are you doing reading questions, man? This is.
Listen, I resulted back when I first started the show, the Bass and Brews. If you look at like the one where we were under an hour every time, and that was a hard hour.
Until episode 9 when I came on and I completely wrecked this fucking world.
Correct. But I ran off questions, right? And it would be the same. And it did take, again, we're going to get gushy. Paul showed me the right moment. Let's treat these conversations organically. Let's, I don't know. Like I listened to a bunch of bullshit on fucking YouTube and shit where they're like, make it formatted, make everything write down so everybody knows exactly that you're brand on. And that shit doesn't work it does if you're going to get sponsors. Listen,
it works
and
for
maybe
some
your
people,
show's the same way. And it does not fucking work for me. And we're not going to ever have the biggest sponsors on this show because it's free form. It's supposed to be light. It's supposed to be, I want fishermen to talk like we would in a normal conversation. Yes. Exactly.
The way that I describe it when I talk to people, somebody that I don't typically know. Now, Nick, you're a little bit different. I usually don't lead in with that, but knowing you.
He did in the text, though.
Knowing you as well as I know you through your podcast, I knew that was the way to approach that situation. But usually I tell people, I was like, look, this podcast is us sitting around a campfire drinking beer, coffee, Dr. Pepper, water, whatever you want to drink, sitting around a campfire, drinking a drink, talking shit, talking about fishing.
Yeah. And you know what you're going to say. One thing that I've learned is, people, the more people listen to you, the more you get people that feel comfortable talking to you.
Yeah.
So you get people that will message you and go, hey, fuckface, or who the fuck is this motherfucker, and they go, oh man, I'm just fucking around. I'm like, oh, okay. And I learned, oh, okay, I get it. And now everybody calls me dickhead. Well, because I call everyone dickhead. Like if you see the name, it says Nickhead. I'll be somewhere like fishing, and they'll be like, "Hey, fucking dickhead," and I'll be like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" Because that's kind of what I do. I guess like everyone has their own people. Like,
was that weird? Was that weird getting noticed out in public?
It's only. It's been a couple times. It is sometimes when fishing places. Like it'll be weird. Like I went one time with my wife out of Huntington Harbor. And I'm backing up my fucking boat, and this dude's like, "Fuck! I finally saw you here." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, "What the fuck's going on? Did I do something wrong?" He's like, "Fucking cast and crank." I'm like, "Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it."
Yeah.
And then my wife's like, "Look at you, fucking asshole." And I'm like, "Oh yeah."
That's my wife. When somebody sees me out in public, she's like, "Oh my god, not again."
Yeah, no, my wife's she's been around for many episodes where, I think at the first Delta Roundtable, you could hear her in the background yelling, cut him off, because I'm getting so fucked up, She's seen me walk out of here out of the Haggard Pirate, the first Haggard Pirate run. I walked out, fucking had my shirt off, throwing up all over the fucking next to the pool. Like she's been around for many of the bad ones. I've had certain guests I'll never bring up their names, but they passed out in my backyard on the floor. So, I
love it.
But you live and learn with that, because sometimes it'll bite you in the ass where they go, hey, you can't release any of that. And I'm like, really? And it's some of the best.
Mm-hmm.
I probably had at least 20 podcasts like that.
Listen, man, you record it. You should release them now as lost episode.
I can't, because they have huge sponsors, and some of them have like Yeti and like people. I get it.
Shouldn't have been on casting.
But then you make a rapport with these people, and they trust you. Yeah, so when they come back on, you might get a different conversation.
Yeah. No, I get you. Yeah.
But that goes back to how you run those podcasts in person. Is you get to let loose. You get those folks, and look, losing those podcasts, not being able to put them out, is a small price to pay for all the ones that have just those gems in it. That is just, it's real shit.
Yeah. No, even like I feel like there's been a couple of good tournament guys I've had on where I'm like, wow, Matty Wong's one of them. Phil Dutra was one of my favorite tournament people I've had on. He really broke it down differently, very interesting, very like open. I had the Zoom ones I did with like Brent Ayler was great. There's been a lot. Palaniuk was a good one. And
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to that.
Oh shit, he's gonna look that up. He's gonna put.
Yeah, that was a call-in one. That was during COVID, I think, as well too. And I had him on. I had and they were cool. They were great. Now, I had the question things too written down, and I feel like it fucks me up when I write questions down. Like I'll lose my train of thought. And I tell the people the way I think. I have ADD bad, and so when I ask a question, I'm listening to you, but I'm not, and I'm waiting to shoot my next question because I feel like if I don't, I'm gonna forget it. So I'll be like, oh, and I'll have something loaded. So when you're talking to me, you'll bring up a little thing. I'll go, oh, I want to know about that, So a lot of the times people will go, well, fuck, you went all over the place because I have all these things going on in my head. And I feel like if I write them down, I'll fuck up the whole thing. And there's been a couple of podcasts I had nothing to say before when I did some shit like that. I'm like, like this, like fucking, dude, I was like, fuck. And it's happened, dude.
That's what intrigues people though. That's how you have a 2-hour or 3-hour podcast where folks they start getting some ADD even if they don't have it and be like, well, damn, what's next? What's the next bit of information or what's this? Oh shit, where are they going with this next? I think that's the intriguing part of it. In addition to the entertainment, how has your podcast evolved? How have you evolved over the last 360 episodes?
You got to listen to people's fucking criticism. It's like anything else. You try, I could tell. In the beginning, I was easy to cut people off. I try to work on that the more I go. And I guess it's been a give and take where, I'd be fucking getting buzzed 90% of the fucking podcast. And now sometimes I won't drink it at all, or sometimes I'll get really fucked up. It's just kind of a hit and miss, I'll get really fucked up, but I mean, it all depends. I mean, and I feel like you get to you can't backload them too much because then you're not concurrent with whatever's going on. And trying to keep up with the times, like doing the live podcast and trying to do those once a month, but they're a motherfucker, dude.
Yeah, on YouTube, it's a whole different beast.
It's like I have 2 guys running comments, and then a guy running the cameras, and I have me and the guest, and I'm trying to keep the whole fucking thing going. So it's kind of it's a super hard thing to do, but I guess just learning more as an angler because I feel like, hey, I'm by no means like a amazing angler. I'm just your average everyday Joe that likes to fish. So, I do fish a certain way, a little more, just calico, but it's crazy because I could bullshit fucking anyone about any kind of fishing now.
Yeah,
you talk to someone, I could tell you, I could make you think I'm a good swim bait fisherman. I'm not. I'm horrible.
Hey, for a guy, a damn country ass bumpkin from the Carolinas, what the fuck is a calico? Because to me, where I grew up, it's the fucking mama cat running around eating food, having babies twice a year, and kittens running around all over Europe. That's the fucking only calico I know.
Right here, I think I might have one.
Yeah, it's a saltwater. It's
a saltwater bass. So
saltwater largemouth.
Yeah. Okay. Think of a fight like a smallmouth.
Okay.
So these things dog you hard. So if you catch a 10-pound calico, that's like the catch of a lifetime. That's the biggest it's gonna get.
Okay, so it lines up with bass fishing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Same exact thing. They fight really, really hard. Like when I ran into some of the,
super jealous we don't have them up in NorCal where I'm at because
no, that's the thing. They're from Baja to Santa Barbara, and that's it.
Yeah.
So they're a small fishery. We do have tournaments for them, and I've fished rookie a couple of the years, but keeping up on a tournament, it would cut into the podcast so much. Like being able to pre-fish a lot and do all this shit. It's kind of like I'd rather just go when I go. And I
love how you said though. I love how you just said I might be an average fisherman, but I'll tell you this much: you're a fucking top-notch podcaster, and that you put it in the right spot, brother. Like you really
bullshit anyone. But I mean, it's funny because I'll tell you what I've gotten from this podcast. My fishing, I told people I'm the fishing slut. I'm the girl with the fat tits and the ass that gets to fish with all these fucking pros and shit.
Yes.
I'll be like, I'm the slutty girl that gets to take all this shit and learn it. So that's what I have learned is like my fishing style, my technique stuff, dude. The guy that I started fishing with 10 years ago is like, I can't believe how much you fucking know now. Just because I fish with so many dudes, it's like,
Right.
I'm a fishing whore.
So are you going to start wearing tube tops and spandex shorts?
Yeah.
When you go fishing?
And then I'm also going to be dick dancing.
Oh, hell yeah. Look. Subscribe. I will share the shit out of those. And it sounds like you didn't start fishing. Everybody you hear, hey, when did you start fishing? Like, that's a podcast question of the fucking century. And I was like, I started when I was 6 years old with Peepaw out at the hog farm, blah, blah, blah. It sounds like you didn't start fishing at a young age. You started fishing kind of recently.
I started fishing when I was 28, and I'm 42 now. I'll be 42 this year. So my curve is completely different than other people and it's crazy. Now that I do this podcast, I'll fish with dudes that could be my son, 21, 22 years old, What
was that?
But I fish with dudes that are
Zealand Hunter, or Zealand Hunter.
He's a stick. No, I have Seth Niswanger. He moved to Maryland. But he lived around the corner, and he's a buddy of mine I'd fish with all the time. I mean, his dad was my son's teacher in school. So it's kind of crazy.
Insane. That's insane.
But I mean, it's wild. It's super cool.
Mm.
All right.
Well, look, damn it, Alex. See, this is what happens. Alex
is writing the question down.
He's on his phone. No, he's on his phone, and he's always slow to the gun. I mean, if we were in a quick draw Western, Alex is the guy that would drop his shit on the ground while the other guy was shooting at him, and he wouldn't get shot because he'd be over there fumbling around trying to get his shit, and he'd end up winning the quick draw.
So I win, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, winning's winning. As long as you got there in the way that
as long as you got live scope, you're winning.
Listen,
somebody on hold on, shush. Somebody on KBM posted this week, if you ain't scoping, you hoping.
Listen.
Holy shit.
All right, Nick, you ready?
I'm ready.
This is we kind of talked about this beforehand. This is a part of the show that is actually the only really scripted part of the show.
Okay.
This is made.
But this is also where the show goes from hour and 52 minutes. And then, like 6 questions, the bitch goes to 2.5 hours because I don't let questions go. Nick's like, "Oh my god,
I'm ready.
You're ready.
Like, get the fucking
I'm ready.
So what we need from you? This is the patent pending. Not even patent pending. We have a patent in Antarctica on this one. This is the shotgun round. Paul, you're supposed to do something fun.
Well,
see, this is when the soundboard be cool because you could drop it.
No shit. We should put a drop. We should put a soundboard on this one.
I'm the guy from Police Academy that can make noises like he can play guitar with his mouth.
I remember that. Oh, you're going old right now, man. These kids,
but he's not like that guy. He's like that guy, but the opposite. The one that never does it. I know that show. I'm old too, I guess, in this game, but I fucking know that show, and he does none of the sound effect. I line him up for him, and then what he does is he goes, "Listen here, boy, I fucking ba ba ba."
All right, let's get on. Hey, just to let y'all know, we are the #1 show in the Panama Canal. In the Panama Canal, except you take just the canal, not Panama, just the canal.
Are you guys looking at Chartable?
No. So we did go to Chartable, and I gamed the system. Total side note: we are the #1 podcast in the Panama Canal and in Antarctica. So
awesome!
Boom! We got a whole continent, bro. That's how you get sponsors.
I think I hit Spain. I hit number 4.
Oh,
here, the best I've ever done was number 5 in America, like a U.S. in outdoors.
Wait. You're going off Chartable off that, or just straight
Chartable? That was the only. That's the best. It's weird. I feel like there's an algorithm to that as well, and I don't believe it. I don't
believe it either. Here's what I believe is I know you were in top 10 when I looked up fishing podcasts on my cousins who listens to nothing similar. She listens to vegan bullshit. I took her phone. I looked up fishing podcasts. You were in the top 10 on Spotify.
Oh, was I?
Yeah.
I don't know how you look that up. I have no clue. I
You
looked up
just
the
search.
Chartable. Oh, really?
You just search, right? All I did was a blind search, and I looked up on her phone. I looked up fishing podcast, and you were number 10 because somehow Bass and Brews was number 14. So I don't know how legit that
How
shit
accurate
is,
it is. I don't go
but
off
you
any
were
of that
number
shit.
10.
Awesome.
Listen, I mean, you can take this. I'll clip it to you, send it to Robert Mondavi. I feel like you should switch into a wine sponsor at this point. But here's what we're gonna
shotgun round, asshole. Let's go.
I got you. Here's what we're gonna get into: the shotgun round. Here's what we need. We are gonna give you a series of questions.
Okay.
I need you to right away, and it's no politician shit. None of this. I like them both. You got to pick one or the other.
Okay.
And then we will chastise you afterwards for it.
I'm ready.
All right, you ready? Texas or Wacky Rig?
Drop shot.
He instantly broke the fucking rules.
I don't fish either one of them. I fish a drop shot like a motherfucker, dude. I'll take Texas. Texas for sure.
All right, there we
Texas
go.
Rig. Yeah. I'd fish a Texas before I wacky rig. I hate wacky rig.
Nah,
Gets fucking stuck up all the time for me.
Yeah,
and again, I'm nobody. I'm a fucking idiot. So
well, you got to go watch the his Ike garage thing and chicken rig it. There we go.
Yeah, I'll just throw. I feel like when you get to that point, I'm fucking desperate, looking to catch a fish. So it's like either I want to catch him on a jerk bait, and I'm like, if I'm not catching on a jerk bait or a crankbait or a swim bait or top water, then I'm desperate. Then I'm gonna go to my fucking worm shit, and I really don't
want
to
go right to drop shot.
Yep, exactly.
All right. You're heading to the lake. Slow jam or hype music?
Hype music.
Oh my man, what's the hype right now? What's the hype music for you? What do you got? What's bumping?
I'm gonna say West Side Connection.
Okay. I thought you were gonna plug your own shitty hardcore band, but I'm glad that you didn't.
No, I listen. I like West Side. My kid loves hip hop, and so we've been listening to West Side Connection. I'm like, that's what I've been playing a lot of. Fuck yeah.
Oh, I like it. All right, you're on the water. Is it Crocs or is it flops?
Crocs.
Oh my man.
Oh.
Hey, dude, I've heard too many people getting fucking hooks in their feet wearing flip flops. Yep.
Yo, dude, Crocs are the best.
Yeah. Flops.
Fuck that.
Look, I love flip flops, but when I'm going fishing, I wear Crocs. It 19-degree weather. I got on Crocs, no socks.
Yeah.
So the person that made Crocs cool for me again, because I never wore them. I had them for about 10 years. Long when they first came out. Went to Bass Pro. I bought them because I use them as my wader shoes when I go surf fishing.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember having them forever and just never using them. And then Caesar from Toxic Baits was always wearing them. I'm like, well, this fucking guy can wear them, so can I.
Yo, Caesar is at so many plugs in this podcast. All 50 people are going to buy so many Toxic Baits.
But hollering in the mic. Hey, I will tell y'all this. I'm about to wear out a pair of Crocs. The soles of my feet are coming through my Crocs.
I've seen you fish in your shitty Hobie. You don't even wear them when you're in the boat.
I know, but I have to wear them taking the boat to and from the ramp. Only because people have there's hooks and shit and glass all over the ramp.
Right.
Needles. So I have to wear them.
We had a very popular TikTok video where I compared Paul pedaling his Hobie to me pedaling my Old Town, right? And the biggest comment was about not only was it Paul because it squeaked a whole bunch and needed some maintenance, but what they really commented on is Paul had no shoes on and fucking painted toenails in the fucking video.
It's Pride Month, guys.
Hey, yeah, I have no shame. My daughter wanted to paint my toenails.
Right. I should repost that shit. You're right. All right, man. So let's say you're out. You got a 4-hour session, right? 4 hours. Would you rather take? 3 hours? Fuck.
Should I ask these questions? Or are you gonna fuck them up the rest of the night?
I might.
In a 3-hour session, are you catching 5 2-pounders on 1 7-pounder?
5 2-pounders.
Whoa!
I'm not. I don't have time to put that. To me, 7-pounders. I'm throwing a swim bait.
Okay.
For me to catch that 7-pounder, I'm putting in a lot of work previously to that day to figure out the conditions.
I love the guy that runs a podcast on swim baiters says I'm not throwing a swim bait.
Well, because the truth be told, dude, you got to have the time to do it. You're not going to go out and throw the lucky swim bait and it's fucking going to happen. A lot of the times the swim bait fish I've caught have been because people put me on them, not because I caught them.
Gotcha.
You know? So, I'm going. I mean, I like to just catch fish and bullshit with my friends. So if I can catch 5 2-pounders, I'm happy.
Yeah.
You gonna spend more on a rod or a reel?
Oof. I'm gonna say a reel.
Oh, man.
For sure. Yeah, because I feel like the best rod you can ever get is Phoenix rods. But if I had to get a cheaper one, I'd rather have a cheaper rod. But I feel like you could get a reel pretty cheap. Like, I know people shit on lures. I like lures. I've been using, like a lot of the people do it. I'm like, I like them. I have Daiwa stuff as well. I use a lot of Daiwa Teaming stuff, but I really like lures as well. I use.
Listen, I fish 13 fishing. People shit on them all the time.
I can't get those to cast right, man. I have one, and I'm like, eh.
Which one?
The green one. Is it the Concept or?
Which one? The bright green one or the teal one?
The teal.
The teal one, the saltwater one. So that's what I'm running now. That thing takes a little bit of tweaking. Yeah. I will say, and I'd love to be sponsored because I actually really like 13 fishing.
Oh my God! This man has laid in that flea infested bed behind him and spread his legs. Hold on tonight. Bro, they ain't coming. They ain't coming. You're in a motel.
They're not. But here's what I will say is that their budget line is about ready to get really good, but right now it's not. Yeah. You've got to go right up to like the $150 level for a bait caster for them to be solid. They're Concept A's. That's all I fish. They are a workhorse of a reel. They fucking handle everything. The only thing that sucks is they're like $175 a pop.
2 things. You can pay $180 and get a Shimano that's way better than that bullshit at $150. And 2, this is why I can't ever fish none of that damn shit because the reels are colors.
Well, you don't see colors.
And I'm colorblind.
Oh, are you really?
I'm colorblind.
Yeah, he's not
you think I'm joking? I'm colorblind as fuck, man. I can't.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm colorblind.
Well, why wouldn't you be able to use them? What does it matter if it's a different color?
That was a joke.
Oh, sorry. I didn't.
Now you picking on colorblind people, Nick. Jeez.
An old joke on the show is we had a friend of the show, Sam Dan. He wanted to make some Bass and Brews colored swim baits, and he's so excited about them. He made them; they were dope. But I was deployed. And he sent him to Paul, and then he asked Paul, and Paul's like, "Yeah, they look great, but I'm fucking colorblind." Like Paul couldn't see, like he did the yellow, the black, the blue, all that shit in there. They looked phenomenal, but then he sent him to the colorblind motherfucker.
Nick,
oh fuck!
Nick, this is my favorite question because I'm country now. I'm country. Yeah. Have you ever eaten beaver?
No, but I think I ate alligator fucking at alligator bite to the Delta. They had some shit. I don't know if they're fucking with me and I was drunk.
Oh, they're fucking with you. There's no alligator in California.
Well, no, I think it was. It didn't taste like fucking chicken. It's like something else.
Alligator tastes like chicken.
No,
it was chewy, very fucking chewy.
Yes. That it might alligator bite might look like a chicken nugget.
Yeah, it looked like a chicken nugget.
It don't taste nothing like no fucking chicken nugget. No, people who say that shit ain't never ate alligator, or somebody told them it was alligator. It was a fucking chicken nugget.
I mean, alligator in New Orleans, and it was seasoned, and it tasted like spicy chicken, bro.
How does beaver taste?
It tastes delicious. Anyways,
it's very warm. It's very warm and moist. No, you take beaver and you cook it like a brisket or like a pork butt.
Okay.
And it's very dark. It's fatty. It's the easiest thing I tell you, if you smoke a brisket and if you smoke a chuck roast and you mix them all together, the texture and the look is going to be beaver. Okay. But the taste, there's only one thing that tastes like beaver, and that's beaver.
Okay. That was a very loaded question.
Speaking of eating food, are you putting pineapple on pizza?
Fuck yes no.
Thank you.
No, fuck no.
God damn.
Look, the greatest pineapple talk we ever had on this podcast was with the Paddler's Playbook guys. And old Drew got into talking about the hole in a pineapple.
Did he fuck a pineapple?
I don't know if he did or not. I don't know if he did or not, but it really got into that we were going to do a joint release. And after the pineapple part, they were like, you know what? We're just going to put out 5 minutes of the Bass and Brews podcast.
Yo, they cut us off. They said this is not on brand.
Look, Nick.
Fuck.
Look, those guys are like your podcast. They're just they're crazy. They're wild. I don't know if you've ever listened to them.
No, I have to check them out.
Not. Yeah, no, they're not like his podcast. They are crazy and wild, but not like his.
But they're fun. But it was a good time. But when they put out on a podcast part of ours, Alex wasn't here. Ours I did. They had like 5 disclaimers in there. This is not for kids. This is not for.
Well, when I put it up, I just put not for kids. That's it. Or I put on the thing. I just put explicit on my
Facebook shit. They were very clear. We're not for anybody under the age of 30. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Paul,
Nick,
Paul, this is what
quit hollering. Hey, quit hollering in your phone. We can hear you, Hall. Do you eat largemouth bass? Nick,
would I?
Do you? Yes.
I've never ate one, but I would if I.
There we go.
If I killed one, yeah.
Hey, just
you pay for it, I mean, if I gut hook something, I'll fucking eat it. Especially if I killed it, I'm gonna eat it.
How about a 3-pounder you hook normally? You taking that bitch home and eating it?
If someone with me wanted to eat it, I would give it to them.
Nope. I'm not saying that. That's not what I said.
No, because I don't like it.
Okay, you don't like fish.
No, I love calico. I'll eat calico all fucking day.
How do you know you don't like bass?
I tried largemouth. I didn't like it.
Okay, so you've had.
Yeah,
I don't like it either, but all right, make sure you've had.
No, I would go. I would.
All right. Do you know? All right, Paul. We're gonna skip 2 of these because they're super private jokes.
But we're out of them. Well, yeah, we can't do the hook set hoodlums. Those guys are assholes.
All right, man. So here's the thing. We talked about like not scripting shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
But since the very first episode of Bass and Brews, we've done this one question.
Okay.
So we're at you're going to be episode 64.
When does this come out?
Here's where
Friday.
Friday.
Oh, awesome! So I can promote it this week.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Oh, that'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, speaking about promoting, before we even get to this last question, do you want anybody you like to promote right now as an end roll?
What? Let's finish. We don't ever. No, we got to finish these questions and then promote.
No, because what happens
is I forget it, write shit down, you fuck it all up.
Hey,
all right.
I already promoted my sponsors enough on this.
Hey, Nick, here we go. We're gonna roll on because Alex is just he's lost it. He's too short to see over the microphone.
I love this so much.
All
right.
Anglers love sandwiches. Take it away, Alex. You can't fuck it up.
Anglers love sandwiches, right? It's the best thing to eat on the water. So what are your 3 top sandwich proteins? And I want to make sure we're clear.
Just let him answer.
Okay.
Pastrami, roast beef, and I'm going to say ham.
Motherfucker.
Now here's the second thing. I don't eat on the water ever. I never eat on the water.
Either.
I drink beers on the water, and that's it.
But you answered correctly because we've had submissions that included cheese, spinach.
No. My wife was vegetarian for fucking 2.5 years.
I'm sorry.
That was kind of crazy because she tried to trick me with shit, and I'd be like, "The fuck is this, dude? Fucking meatballs taste weird as shit." I'm like, "It ain't real."
You know what's really funny is my wife, Amandy, fan of the show, as Paul likes to call her, Amandy. My wife was a vegetarian when I first met her, and then we came to Cali, and she actually switched to meat in Cali.
Really?
Yeah, and she was like, the first thing I gave her was bacon. She was like, I just want to, and I was like, yo, I've got I've got one shot at this. Let's kill it, right?
Yeah.
And I made her like 2 types of bacon, like a crispy and a soft, because people have different views on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Annihilated.
Who the fuck eats soft bacon?
I do.
Oh my god.
I do. I like a chewy bacon, and so does she. We eat chewy bacon. I don't like it burnt crispy. I don't like that shit, bro.
I don't want that shit burnt, but I need to be able to bite it. I don't need to be able to look.
No, I like
you
the
probably
bowl,
eat your
bro.
steak. You probably eat your steaks medium instead of rare too.
You know what? On that note, fuck you, Nick. It was great having you on the show, man.
Hey, this was a great podcast. It's cool to hear someone else doing something different as well, not following the regular line.
I appreciate that.
Well,
no, I do appreciate you guys doing this as well.
We listen to your podcast and we're going to copy him. We're going to be in the fishing industry, so that means we have to take something successful and do the exact same thing so we can be successful. So we're going to
honestly, we went from swing baits to Senkos. We're going to call ourselves Senko Bait Underground, and we'll just run from there.
No, what they usually call me is Yank and Crank.
All right, man. Well,
anybody? Nick, hey, your podcast, real quick. Tell us about the podcast, where they can find you and all that.
You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. You could type in Google, just do Cast and Crank Podcast. You'll find it. YouTube's updated maybe every week. I try to keep up on it. It's a fucking
He's good
bitch.
about it.
This last year, I've been trying to be good about it. I haven't done anything for a minute because I took a break for probably like 2 weeks now. So other than that, you can also check out the Patreon. You got a chance at some cool baits on there if you sign up. And check out Electric Fishing. If you guys want a good deal, enter code CC30. You get 30% off on your sunglasses.
Dude, that's a killer fucking deal, too.
Dude, right? I'm stoked on it. Like, I'm
30%. Like, get the fuck out of here. That's
on fishing sunglasses. It's cool.
Yeah, I do.
But yeah,
all right, boys.
I appreciate it, guys. Do you need a picture from me or anything? Or
I'm gonna need a picture at some point. You hang out. We're gonna
hang out real quick.
Okay, I'll hang out.
Yeah. All right, boys.